Hell yes, dear listener. The HSP boys are back in the saddle once again for episode number 120. Thank you so much for saddling up with us. 2 separate continents, 2 separate countries, 2 separate adult beverages just to make it fair, and 2 separate cups of coffee fee. 2 separate fact shamings, 2 separate mansplainings, 2 separate trails to the same inevitable conclusion. 120 episodes from the hellions of the right, dear listener. 120, the age at which Moses died. The original temple was 120 cubits tall. 30 times 4, 40 times 3, 59 plus 61, the sum of 2 consecutive primes. But none of this really matters right now, dear listener. And why is that? Because the trail grows longer each and every single week. And 120 means we have 120 miles to ride on this trail right here, right now. So let's not tarry. Let's saddle up and ride into episode number 120, which is in the house presently. Find us on Facebook and Twitter at Zero Gravity Med. Send us feedback at zero-gravity-media.com. Subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and tune in all 4 under Zero Gravity Media. Don't bother yourself with Podbean, dear listener, as Podbean is dead to the HSP boys. Find us right here on YouTube where you're tuned in right now. Look for Zero Gravity Media and our God tier Zero G logo. The HSP boys are on Rumble, though I've still been negligent in my duties to upload shows to Rumble. I will be paying due diligence either tonight or tomorrow. Find us, look for Zero Gravity Media, rumble.com/Zero Gravity Media. You can find us either way. Leave us some feedback using the contact form at our website, zero-gravity-media.com/contact, our most important platform. And dear listener, very inspirational and aspiring, our most ambitious social platform at the moment is Locals. Look for zerogravitymedia.locals.com. We have a nice community already burgeoning there. Come join us. Let's hang out and chat. Luke and I'd be happy to answer questions. And if you'd like to support the show, you can do it through Locals. Each episode, Luke and I like to call out one city. And this city, the magic of this city, is the city with the most HSP listens during the previous week. So without any further ado, the city with the most HSP listens during the previous week is. All right, dear listener, very exciting. Yet another fresh new rider up here on the posse and right up to the front of this posse, commanding the saddle this week. Dear listener, we have Leander, Texas. Now, Leander, way to go. Needless to say, Luke and I know your town very, very well. Been there many, many times, as has Luke. Beautiful place, lovely place, right outside of Austin. Easy to get to Austin. Depending on how 35 is going south at that time, that is. But anyway, Leander, we are honored and privileged by your presence. You really threw down this week, so thank you so very much. Luke and I will deliver for you, and you have found the right one, Leander. You believe that. All right, Luke, how you doing this week, brother? What's up?
Good, man. All right, dear listener, we're out of the gates. Russ and I have decided we are catering to a family-friendly show this week because my family is driving back right now from Colorado from a nice little ski trip. And so we're going to keep it family-friendly this week. But on this note, Russ, this is going to be a family inside joke, which you're not going to get. Nobody's going to get. But I think you'll like it.
All right.
So, Shayna, if you could just post into the chat, PPFJP. So this is actually brilliant. This is an exercise. I was thinking about this about 6 months ago, like how awesome this was as kids. This is an exercise in imagination. This is back in the day when like right after Jurassic Park came out and Dungeons and Dragons was like all the big rave and everything. And we would do this game. I was like my sister, my brother, and my 2 cousins.
Oh, you've told me this.
Yeah. And my aunt, and my grandpa, we'd all pile into the car with 2 Suburbans and drive all the way up to Colorado. And we used to play this game called PPFJP, and it stood for Past, Present, Future, or Jurassic Park. And so you would just randomly turn to somebody and say PPFJP. And then they would just say, present. And then you would just immediately, one person would just say, okay, you are walking down the street. And then you would present them with some storyline. And then you'd say, what do you want to do? And then we would do this for hours. And it was a really fun game. Anyways, so
cool. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
my dad already responded in WhatsApp, PPFJP. My dad says Jurassic Park. Alt Jurassic Park.
Oh man,
sure feels like we're living in Jurassic Park. Maybe
it sure does, man.
think I'd probably take the dinosaurs over
what's happening right now.
Yeah, over the Democrats. Hold on, I got it. The cat's trying to escape. Hold on one
second. All right. Well, welcome, Luke's family. Dan Johnson's in the house. Dan John says in the comments, "We spending too much time together. Our cycles are syncing up, boys. Get YouTube notification the same moment I clocked out for lunch." Well, Dan Johns, welcome. So glad that we could hit it on your lunch hour. Welcome to the show. Good to see you as always. So,
yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Welcome, Dan. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, mi familia.
Yes, indeed. Yes.
Also, happen to be one of the most god tier Mexican spots in College Station.
No.
Had many a burrito there on us.
Yeah.
Painfully early Saturday morning in college.
Indeed. So,
all right, dude. Well, let's just jump into it, man.
All right. So, dear listener, I haven't told Luke this yet, but I've got the Atlanta shootings, the Biden disaster, immigration and amnesty, election 2020, the Iowa election 2022, the tax hike, MTG, the notorious MTG, the Washington Post hoax, the Capitol demonstration, the Tucker war games with the Pentagon, Georgia staffer rumors, Trump versus the SDNY, social media and Project Veritas, the stimulus bill, the filibuster. Dan Bongino, congratulations, Mr. Bongino, sir, on taking over Russia's time slot. Information about he did.
I didn't know that.
He's taking the 12 to 3 slot. Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Yep. Yep. Some horrifying news and pedophilia, critical race theory and anti-whiteness, student loan forgiveness, Governor Cuomo. Some funny things that happened with Hannity, and that's bots. Far and away, Luke, I think the most important topics for the week are the Biden disaster. That is something, and I've got a lot of show prep on that and a lot of stuff I want to say. Immigration and amnesty, and some of this election stuff that's going on. I think those are the most important stories. I want to start off with a little bit about the Atlanta shootings. Dear listener, our thoughts and prayers go out to all of the victims and the families of the victims of the Atlanta shooting. The media is currently trying to meme it into a race-based attack. Dear listener, it's not going to work. It's not true. 6 Asians were killed. 2 white people and 1 Mexican man was shot. He is in critical condition. He is most likely not going to survive, the way I'm understanding it. Last I heard, got a little bit of audio from Jen Psaki to that effect right here. This is disgusting. Take a listen, and then, Luke, I want to hear your feedback about stuff.
In the Oval Office, he didn't, I'm going back to Atlanta, and then I want to ask you another question on the border. But the president said in the Oval Office he didn't want to make a connection on the motivation of the shooter in Atlanta. But to broaden it out, why does the president think attacks on Asian Americans are increasing in this country? Why does he think that's happening?
Well, he wanted to be very clear because there's an ongoing FBI investigation, right? And he didn't want to attribute motive. There are law enforcement authorities who do that, and it's important to note when the investigation is concluded or not. So that was a bar he was working to respect there. I think there's no question that some of the damaging rhetoric that we saw during the prior administration, blaming, calling COVID, the Wuhan virus or other things, led to, perceptions of the Asian American community that are inaccurate, unfair.
Unbelievable. Okay, dear listener, the thing that is on my mind about this quote that I want to highlight, okay, the Asians that were killed in the Atlanta shootings were far and away mostly Korean people, okay? Look at Jen Psaki's bias of blending together with her racism, all of the Asian cultures in the guise of Donald Trump, because he said the China virus. All of a sudden, now, because of her racism, she projects out into the world that everybody has now become racist and attacking against Asian Americans. Dear listener, the meme is not going to work. Don't worry about it. The truth is not on their side, and it's not going to work. All right, Luke, what you got this week, man?
I'm going to let you lead the trail this week, dude, because I had all the same topics as you, but less.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Right. Yeah, actually, no, I take that back. I have one additional that I want to talk about.
Okay.
Which is the all but certain gubernatorial run by Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been hearing a lot about that. I don't have any show prep about it, so I'd love to hear what you got, but I'm hearing about it. And man, I'm hearing he's going to run as Republican, but I don't want to get ahead of ourselves on that. So
it wouldn't surprise me, but yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that in segment 2.
Okay. Sounds good.
Because that's more, I don't know if I'd say botsy. I don't know. I've been more interested in Texas politics lately because Texas seems to be the gravitational center of everything happening in the United States right now.
Texas and Florida for sure. Yeah. And with this immigration disaster happening right here on our shores in Texas, oh man, it's something else. So,
but as it relates to this massage parlor, I mean, it's absolutely disgusting. All they're doing is just using the deaths they do. And this is the left does this. They do this all the time. They don't care about the people that died. They just use it as a way to push the racism narrative, it was actually really funny because like Asians took a backseat to all, the left has this pyramid of discrimination, this pyramid of victimhood, and just above white is Asian, right?
Yeah.
So like above that you have black, above that you have gays, you have lesbians, you have transgenders, you have this pyramid of victimhood, and like Asians are barely ahead of whites in that pyramid.
That's true.
All the way at the bottom, Asians barely ahead of them, so barely ahead of whites. So this idea, so what they're trying to do is just co-opt, because the shooter was white. All they're trying to do is now just co-opt. Okay, great. Who is it now? Asians? Yeah, let's go after that. Rising anti-Asian sentiment in the United States during the COVID-19 pandemic, and they have to call them all Asians and not differentiate between that and Korean. Something, I don't know, dude. I haven't really read a lot about it. I heard something about mass shootings. I don't know. A lot of the reason I'm so like not up on American politics and news is because here in Germany, it's just everything is Corona. Yeah. I never hear any, but it's so interesting. Before the elections, all I heard was Trump. Before Corona, it was Trump. Then Corona came along and it was Trump, Corona. Then Biden came along and now it's just Corona, and nothing about Biden. I don't hear anything about American news anymore. I have to proactively go search for it, which is kind of a little bit of a blessing in disguise. But I mean, it's like all I have to do to just tune out is just not look for it. And I don't get on Facebook anymore, and I don't get on Twitter anymore. So I mean, I'm just totally unplugged basically. In preparation for this show is like the only plugging in that I do. But I understand that he was motivated by a sexual addiction that was at odds with his religious beliefs.
That's correct.
I mean, dude, I don't know, like something tells me this may have been more of like a happy ending type massage parlor.
They were. All three. Yes, they were.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, there you go.
Provably so. Yes.
I mean, I'm not saying they deserved it or anything. Like, God forbid, I'm not saying that, but I mean, I mean, it was a sex addict going to get happy endings. I would want to know more details around the shooting. Like, did they feel threatened and he wasn't allowed to come back? Well, that means he's deranged and it has nothing to do with Corona.
That's right.
I mean, maybe he was upset that, it was a happy ending massage parlor, and maybe he was upset that they were wanting him to wear a mask or that they were wearing masks.
Right.
Maybe he was like, it's your face. I'm a face guy,
Yes.
Have we derailed off the family friendly part of the show?
We might need to get back on the trail, the narrow, straight trail. So, yes. So,
okay. Yeah, I just realized, I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah. Oh, whoa.
Well, there we go. Now I did. I've done it. I'm sorry. Family driving. Maybe they're in a dark spot in New Mexico. Right
yeah. Hopefully so. So
yeah.
No, they were this type of massage parlor. He frequented all three of these massage parlors. The murderer had been in therapy and in rehab before for sex addiction. This has been attested to the FBI and into the public by people he was in rehab with. He was absolutely tortured by sex addiction, and these were kind of his haunts, man. And he wanted to eliminate the source. Even Christopher Wray himself corrupt FBI head has come out and said there is no racial motivation here. This was psychosis and sex addiction. That's what it is. So,
Yeah, but again, the left is so disgusting that they're going to latch onto it and try and turn it into something that's racist because they're just a commodity. Death, carnage, destruction. Races. It's all just a commodity to them. It's just a currency. It's a transaction. It's transitory.
Yeah, it is.
It's just I mean, I can't. I find it so difficult to even talk about at this point.
How so? What do you mean?
Who doesn't know this at this point? I feel like I'm talking to a brick wall in the sense that you either know this or if you don't know this, you are so dumb that you're hopeless. I just, I don't know. Or maybe I'm like, so used to thinking about it in this way that it's like, but of course, I don't know. Maybe comment, be like, well, actually, no, I hadn't thought about it that way. But look, like if you don't understand that the left uses death, uses suffering, uses I mean what's really sad is there are people who are real victims of racism, real victims who are now dead as a result of having been victims. They water all of that down by just making everything racism, making everything making everybody victims of racism, using all deaths as something which can be politicized. And then, and it's sort of like inflation. They just hyperinflate tragedy to the point where tragedy is meaningless at this point.
Yes.
Like actual real tragedy is meaningless. It's tragedy inflation is what it is.
I hate to use the old cliche, but how often do you hear about the massive amount of murder being perpetrated in Chicago each weekend, even hits mainstream media?
I look at this and I'm like, 8 people? That's tragic, but I mean, would it have been different if he had been black? Would it have been different if it were 3 people killing 8 people? I mean, is it like the 1 to 8 ratio? Is it the kill ratio that does it for them?
Yeah. Well, Kamala Harris, our vice president, illustrious vice president, wasted no time yesterday. She came out in Atlanta and blasted the United States as a hopelessly racist country. Hopelessly, the first African-American / Asian woman elected as vice president, and America's just so irredeemably racist. That's what they were waiting for. Dear listener, don't sweat it, because we're going to push back on this, because the narrative that they're spinning that Luke perfectly described is not true. The facts are not on their side, okay? They turn so many facts into lies so regularly. Now, eventually this currency is going to wear out. And I guarantee you, dear listener, this meme, which they attempt at the moment, will not work. I promise you, it will not work. So, and we're going to make sure it doesn't. That's right.
Yeah, I mean, what they're trying to do is they're trying to take tragedy and use it as a way to tear their country apart.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's another cudgel with which to divide the country. They didn't even waste 24 hours before they started doing it, Luke. Not to mention, as Jen Psaki just did, blame the former president. It's his fault because he said China virus. It's his fault. That's what made this guy go out and shoot these people. You know,
Alexis Larue. I don't know. My wife makes fun of me. She speaks like French and all the like Italian, Spanish, German, English, like pretty much all fluently or something approaching fluency. And so she's like, don't ever try to speak French. You're never going to get it. And I tend to agree with her. So, I'm going to try anyways. Alexis Larue says Kamala Harris has no African-American blood. What say you, Russ?
It's true. She's Jamaican. Yes, that's true.
Yeah, but I mean, where did Jamaicans come from originally?
Yeah. I mean,
okay. African American blood. Okay, yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
She's Jamaican American. So
yeah,
it's true.
Yeah.
But she'll claim that for victimhood status. You can believe that.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like she's going to claim African American when she's not. That's the objection.
Yeah. 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 So, yeah. Oh, it is to laugh. It is to laugh. If it weren't just so disgusting and filthy and tiresome, man. It's just so tiresome.
Yeah, I mean, in all likelihood, she's got like white blood in her, like colonial blood. In all likelihood, she came from some sort of family that was like a plantation owner who bred with one of their own slaves.
That is correct. Which is correct.
A very common occurrence, like in
yes.
colonial.
Yes.
Yeah, like in.
Yes, her Jamaican ancestors were literally, I'm not kidding, were plantation owners who owned scads of slaves, scores of slaves. That's literally true. So,
scads of slaves?
Yeah, that's a slang word. I changed it to scores because scores is literally true. That means
it sounds like an old pirate term,
Yeah, I think it's an old Southern term. I'm not sure where I heard it. So, yeah. But it means tons is what it means. So, yeah. Well, but no, it's literally true. She is a daughter of a colonial. It's a fact. So yeah. Yeah. It is to laugh. So yeah. Well, I don't know. It's just really tragic and it's really disgusting. And dear listener, I promise you it's not going to work this time. It's not going to work. So particularly with the week Joe Biden has just had, dear listener. Now, Luke, is this a good segue? We ready to ride?
Yeah, dude, let's do it.
All right.
Really quick. I want to say, Alexa says yes, but she's cosplaying us. Then she says exactly. She's been planning this a long time. Howard University plus AKA sorority, and then Obama. Either they come in and play off of us. Yeah. Don't disagree with that.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. I mean, never forget, dear listener, she called Joe Biden a racist in the debates. Now she's his VP. She literally called him that. So there you go.
Chameleon, man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. She's an evil one. That's for sure. So yeah.
I don't know how you can like see it in her eyes. You just look at her in her laugh, her fake laugh.
And it's in her voice. Yes. Her laugh and her voice.
I mean, yeah, it's repulsive. It's absolutely repulsive. So,
all right, but so let's move on.
Yeah, okay. All right. So, dear listener, wow, what a week Joe Biden has had. This is the biggest disaster I have ever seen of a week in presidential history in my lifetime. Dear listener, this is the end of the Joe Biden presidency. I promise you that. And I've got sources. These are opinion sources.
Okay, dude. I have to hear this. Can you lie? What's your logic here? Can you sum up your logic and then we can expand on it?
Absolutely. Okay. I'm going to need to go off here for a little bit, man. It's going to take about 10 minutes, I think, to lay the facts out. I want you to feel free to leap in at any time. Okay. Then I want to hear your reaction to all this stuff once we get there. Okay. All right. So disaster number one, dear listener, happened in the form of China. There was a diplomatic meeting between Chinese ambassadors and the Secretary of State in Alaska this week in our own house. Okay. I have got some audio here pulled up. It was very hot rhetoric. Dear listener, take a listen to this if you haven't heard it already.
We'll also discuss our deep concerns with actions by China, including in Xinjiang, Hong Kong, Taiwan, cyber attacks on the United States, economic coercion toward our allies.
Okay, dear listener, for context, this is Secretary of State Blinken right now speaking, and he's grandstanding, showing off for the world stage, trying to bring it heavy to China about their humanitarian abuses. Here we go.
These actions threaten the rules-based order that maintains global stability.
This is the Chinese response.
You can't blame this problem on somebody else.
I have to tell you, what I'm hearing is very different from what you described. I'm hearing deep satisfaction that the United States is back, that we're re-engaged with our allies and partners. I'm also hearing deep concern about some of the actions your government is taking.
我们把你们想得太好了，我们认为你们会遵守基本的外交礼节。
Well, I think we thought too well of the United States. We thought that the U.S. side will follow the necessary diplomatic protocols.
所以我们刚才必须阐明我们的立场。
So for China, it was necessary that we make our position clear.
我现在讲一句，你们没有资格在中国的面前说你们从实力的地位出发同中国谈话。
So let me say here that in front of the Chinese side, the United States does not have the qualification to say that it wants to speak to China from a position of strength.
We'll also discuss.
Oh my God. Absolutely neutered Secretary of State Blinken. Absolutely neutered him. Right there on the world stage with all the cameras on, right? And Joe Biden comes out the next day and says, oh, I'm very proud of the Secretary of State. No. He just got killed. We're going to get more into that in just a little bit, dear listener.
What was the forum for that? What's the context of that?
It was a diplomatic meeting in which they were going to discuss things like trade. They were going to discuss a reboot of Chinese-American relations, right? That was the idea. And instead, Blinken came out swinging, saying that we want to talk about your abuse against the Uyghurs and other groups, Falun Gong and all of them. And China came out and said, you have no moral authority to lecture us on anything. And I've got a lot more show prep about it. Well, let's just do it right now. I've got this audio pulled up. Now, okay. Let's do it right now. Let me find this clip, dear listener. Take a listen to this. This is from the War Room. We're going to start with Jack Posobiec. Okay, here we go.
Threw back in his face all the statements that Biden had been making and the Democrats have been making about Black Lives Matter, about how democracy doesn't work, about how America is weak, about how America is racist, et cetera, completely blew them apart.
Yep, he did. He used the United States' own rhetoric against them. We hear it in your own media from the New York Times every day that the United States is the most racist country in the world. You have no moral authority with which to lecture China about anything. Game, set, match. It's over. Humiliation. Absolute humiliation and incompetence. China was a disaster. Later that day, dear listener, this clip aired on George Stephanopoulos. If I can find it here real quick. Yes, I can. Dear listener, not even 24 hours later, this clip airs. George Stephanopoulos interviews Joe Biden. Here we go.
Director of National Intelligence came out with a report today saying that Vladimir Putin authorized operations during the election to denigrate you, support President Trump, undermine our elections, divide our society. What price must he pay?
He will pay a price. We had a long talk, he and I. I know him relatively well. And
got some show prep about that.
I said, I know you and you know me. If I establish this occurred, then be prepared.
You said
I'm a tough guy. I know you. You know me. You know I'm tougher than you. You're corn pop. I'm Joe Biden.
Doesn't have a soul.
I did say that to him, yes.
He said, you have no soul, says Joe Biden, that he said to Putin back in 2009. Is this true?
And his response was, we understand one another. I wasn't being a wise guy. I was alone with him in his office. That's how it came about. It was when President Bush had said, I've looked in his eyes and saw a soul. I said, looked in your eyes, and I don't think you have a soul. And looked back at me and said, we understand each other. Look, most important thing dealing with foreign
tough,
leaders,
Joe Biden. So
in my
tough.
experience, and I've dealt with an awful lot of them over my career.
Oh, yeah, you have.
Is just
foreign policy master, Joe Biden. Foreign policy master. You are.
Oh, the other guy.
So you know Vladimir Putin. You think he's a killer?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. You know Vladimir Putin. You think he's a killer? Mm-hmm. That's Joe Biden talking about Vladimir Putin, the premier of Russia. What kind of diplomatic mastery is that, dear listener? What kind of ramifications did this have? Luke, I got an NPR piece here, man. I got to do it in NPR voice if you don't mind. And this is disaster number 2 we're talking about right here, dear listener. Putin, Russia. Russian President Vladimir Putin has reacted angrily after President Biden agreed in an interview that the Kremlin leader was, quote, a killer. Quote, it takes one to know one, Putin said on national television, adding that the children's taunt had a very deep meaning. People often see themselves reflected in others, Putin said, suggesting that Biden was projecting on him American guilt for slavery and the treatment of Native Americans. You see what it is right there, what Putin just did? Why, dear listener, he did exactly what China just did. He used the United States' own rhetoric against them. That's what he did. That's what he did. Putin was absolutely incensed. He pulled the Russian ambassador out of Washington, pulled him. No diplomatic relations happening with Russia and the Biden administration anymore because of one comment I said, you have no soul. You think he's a killer? Mm-hmm. Moron, man. Absolute moron. So, dear listener, there is no chance of diplomacy with Russia anymore. Putin came out furthermore and doubled down on it and said, you know what? I challenge Joe Biden to a debate right now. I'm going to take a break this weekend, but I want to do it with no interruptions. We do it live on a live stream on the internet. I want to do it Monday. Joe Biden's administration replies, well, he's very busy this weekend. Yeah, man, he's trying to heal that knee that he just fell on, I suppose. He's got that trip to Georgia where he could barely walk, can't walk up the steps to Air Force One. Yeah, he's got to heal that leg. He's going to need some rest after that. You believe this?
He and Kamala could heal their knees together.
Indeed, sir. Indeed. Well, dear listener, here is the truth about what happened with Vladimir Putin and Joe Biden back in 2009. Okay, this is some reporting from the National Pulse, Raheem Kassam's outfit, which is fantastic, exclusive. Putin humiliated Biden in Moscow meeting, reveals Obama-era White House stenographer. All right, what's this guy's name? He's the one that has the definitive book about Joe Biden out. I'll get to his name. It's in the piece. I can't believe it slipped my mind. Doesn't that always happen, though, dear listener?
Russ, I have a lot to say on all that just went down with
Russia
and China. If you want me to do it now, I can.
Yeah,
I think I should because it's fresh.
Okay,
but if what you're about to go on is not a subject change, then let's stay.
It is not. It is about Putin. Yeah, and I've got just a little bit, and I want to hear exactly what you have to say. So, and then we've both got a lot to say about the fall. I guarantee you that. So, I'm going to take it from the lead. It goes thus: Vladimir Putin and his staff, this is in 2009, sought the almost ritualistic humiliation of then Vice President Joe Biden, who commanded very little respect on the world stage during his tenure as VP. If it can be believed, he commands even less now. Ever since that moment I witnessed, Joe Biden and his staffers, with the help of Washington's press corps, have been spinning the story 180 degrees away from how it actually happened. After Biden lied about his prowess with Putin in a sickly sweet interview with ABC's George Stephanopoulos, Putin pulled his ambassador out of Washington, D.C. It's a pretty big move from Putin out of the blocks. Usually, if you fear a nation and its leader, you don't start by pulling your ambassador. This is Putin's telling the Biden regime, quote, we don't need you and we don't fear you. I'm going to skip a few paragraphs down. I documented what happened at Joe Biden's one and only meeting with Vladimir Putin in my book, Joe Biden Unauthorized. I can attest that the title of my chapter in the incident, Bitch Slapped in Moscow, is the actual truth. Biden got
called Joe Biden Unelected.
You're right. Ooh, whoa. Yeah. Yep. Excuse me, dear listener. Biden got bitch slapped and he's pretending that he didn't. Putin knows what happened. He was there. He knows he compromised Joe Biden, who appeared unprepared to deal with the ruthless former KGB agent. Regardless, Joe continues to perpetuate his I was the tough guy lie. About 10 minutes into the meeting, Vice President Joe Biden attempted to start lecturing about his decades-old part in U.S.-Russian negotiations with the dreaded phrase, I've been around a long time. The first time I was here, and cut. Joe Biden got about one sentence further into that spiel when off went his microphone, off went the lights for the TV cameras, and stern Russian voices were commanding the press to leave, and leave they did. They went out quickly and efficiently with video cameras popping off tripods, equipment snapping shut, portable lights clattering down from retractable poles. No one spoke and no one dared linger. This was Putin in all of his KGB ruthlessness. Whether by some prearranged signal or simply an undisclosed time limit, he had pulled the plug and done the unthinkable. He had stolen Joe Biden's audience and rendered him speechless, shut him down in mid-sentence with the flick of an invisible switch. And he goes on to detail, there's no way this you have no soul conversation could have happened. He's like, you really believe that happened? You really believe that happened? No, it didn't happen. It's a lie. It's the Joe Biden, tough guy. I've been around a long time. Lie. All right, Luke, what you got about all this stuff so far?
You kind of got like a Mitch Hedberg voice going on with that when you talk about Joe Biden.
I can't do it, Joe Biden. Yeah, I can't do. I know, man. I'll work on the Biden, dear listener. I'll work on it. So, yeah.
Joe Biden is corrupt, and dogs are forever in the push-up position.
Indeed.
All right, dude. as I was listening to all this, and this is the first time, I mean, it's not the first time I've heard any of this. It's the first time I'm integrating it all together into one, because I was aware of what went down with China this week. I was aware with what went down with Putin this week. I was aware of all that. But as you were saying all this, it just hit me. Dude, everybody is falling for this. Mark my words. This going on. I was about to. I don't know if my family's still listening. I already made it not family friendly by talking about happy ending massage parlors and cursing. Yeah. So yeah, that kind of I screwed the pooch on that one in the first 30 minutes. So couldn't even last 30 minutes without talking about massage parlors. But whatever the case, dude, I think everybody's falling for this. As I was hearing all this, I was like, my God, this is on purpose. This is smoke and mirrors. This whole conflict between Russia and us and China, and dude, this is smoke.
That's what dearest listener thinks. Yeah.
What else? What else are they supposed to do? So, Trump did a great job. We have great relations with China now. We have great. They're setting this up so that they can say, "Oh no, this is how much they detest us after the Trump administration. Democracy failed." I don't know that that's going to be their end narrative, but dude, mark my words. This is a setup. This is not happening for no reason. They didn't just. Do you honestly? China totally depends on us. Like our trade balance is totally in our favor. They are nothing without us. They can't match us even combined militarily. Nobody can. We basically pay for everything. We're the world's piggy bank. Everybody knows it. I mean, the idea that like China's coming out and like humiliating Biden and Russia's coming out and Putin's let's have a debate on YouTube. I call what am I supposed to say? I don't even know what to say without curse words.
BS is fine. That's fine.
BS. I call BS on all of it, dude. All of it. Smoke and mirrors. All of this was on purpose. This was a setup. Think about this. Think about this historically. Pre-Trump, foreign policy is the big question is foreign policy. Oh my God, how are we gonna? I have to minimize my Chrome tab because I've got like the video feed frozen and you have this weird smirk on your face.
Yeah.
And you're just like staring at me, and it's just creeping me.
Actually, that's real time, man. Your screen's not frozen at all. Yeah.
No. I had I keep the YouTube feed open like in my main monitor so that I can chat with people. But I don't want to hear it in my headphones, so I pause it. But I pause it at a weird time. Anyways, yeah, like think about the timeline. Like before Trump came along, it was like, oh, Russia, oh, China, oh, this. Meanwhile, they're all doing back deals with Russia, back deals with China, back deals with all this. Trump comes along, and now suddenly Trump's like, why do we want to be enemies with Russia? China is an enemy, but I don't want to be enemies with them. We just need to solve the problem. Or as I'd say in Office Space, we need to fix the glitch. Just stop paying China's paychecks and the problem will resolve itself. That sort of a thing, and then Trump gets out of office and business as usual. Oh my God, Putin. Oh my God, China. And I mean, do we honestly believe there's not also back deals going on right now? Dude, this is smoke and mirrors.
That is a good point.
This is to create a charade so that everyone goes, "Oh, look how problematic they are." Because if the American people think that this is a problematic relationship and it's so contentious, they're not going to think for a moment that there's back deals going on. Because oh my God, look, they're humiliating Biden's Secretary of State. Biden couldn't possibly be doing back deals with China. Look what's happening. He's humiliating him. And people like Jack Posobiec are just falling for it, hook, line, and sinker.
That's a bold claim, man. That's a bold claim. I disagree with you. I disagree with you wholeheartedly, but you're making a lot of sense, and I reserve the right to change my mind. So
going full Joe Rogan on me over there.
Yeah.
I disagree with you, but it makes a lot of sense.
It does make a lot of sense. It does. And you're
Joe Rogan always says when he's like, yeah, I don't believe a damn word that just came out of your mouth, but it makes a lot of sense.
I have been thoroughly unconvinced until you brought in the part about what makes you think that there are no backroom deals going on right now. Of course there are. Hunter Biden's probably making a deal in China right now. Probably. You know what I mean?
Saying, hey, Dad,
So,
hey, Dad, I need you to stir the pot and
Yeah.
create this diversion so that I can fly over to China and make this deal. So everyone's focused on this over here while I do this deal over there.
Well,
and it's like push, dude. This is what it is, man. Remember, like back in the days of the game, there's this push pull tactic. It's even a business model, push pull. It's like right now, it's like, look, I need you to push so I can pull. So you're like, I need you to push conflict so that I can pull grift.
Yeah, could be, man. Time will tell. But meanwhile, on its face, I'm certain that everything is not prima facie here. But
here's another one, dude. Remember that video that came out when we were on the run up to the election? The video of the Chinese guys. There was like, oh, the prints off. We need you to. We played it on the show where it was like the prints off. You know, it's different paper. You need to use a different ink. You know, blah blah blah. All that, all of those. Man, shit. I didn't. Oh, sorry. Oh well, they're eating lunch now, anyways. But
okay.
Oh, dude, all that came from China.
Yep.
Do you honestly think that the CCP didn't know that they're helping out?
Of course they did. They were absolutely involved.
Yeah. So like they knew what they were doing and they know what they're doing. This is like 3 months later. They were probably planning this years in advance. In fact, they probably had this conversation with Blinken scheduled like a year ago. Like, hey, after Biden, after you're installed, we need to stir the pot immediately after you're elected so that to accomplish two things. One, to create a diversion so that we can continue our deals and no one's going to ask questions. And also B, because if everything goes along just fine, then everyone's going to think that Trump actually had a positive impact with respect to foreign policy. So we need to create a bunch of problems pretty much immediately after you're installed.
Maybe, man. Maybe.
I don't trust any of these people for a second. And
oh yeah, for sure.
The idea that, you know, Biden's Secretary of State is like walking into these meetings and getting caught off guard like this. I mean, come on.
I take the simpler read. I take Occam's razor on this. But again, I reserve the right to change my mind as more tangible information comes out. We don't have that information right now to know about any of this for sure. Not saying it's not true, you know, not saying it's not.
Am I projecting? Absolutely. Do I have evidence to back any of this up? Absolutely not. I have no direct evidence, but I've got a lot of background information, and I've got
empirical evidence for sure. This has always happened. So you know,
you know, I just think historically, even just going back a few years, it's like conflict. Trump gets elected. We're not in the Middle East anymore. China's getting put in their place. Russia is no longer a problem, and then the left comes back into power, and it's conflict. You know, but it's like there's always conflict, but there's never conflict.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we're always somehow in this like very contentious relationship with Russia and China, but we never go to war. It's like everything before Trump was conflict, but without conflict. Trump said, let's not have conflict. That created internal conflict within the United States.
It did.
Then then Biden was installed. And then now we have external conflict again. It's just the same thing. It's like, to me, it's like if anything, we've just made a course correction. We've just gone back down our path that we're all used to, which is, you know.
Oh yeah, that's definitely what they're trying to do, is get back to the Obama status quo. That is for sure what they're trying to do. So yeah.
But again, I think they're just buying Biden off. I think that's all it is.
Could be.
I think they're just saying, Biden, look, we need the diversion again. We need the charade of conflict, so we can work all of our deals underneath. We need to distract everybody, distract the American people, give the mainstream media in the United States, you know, give them their meat so that they can feed that to the people. So they think Biden got humiliated, and now we need to stand up to China.
Biden did get humiliated. Okay. Whether it was a front or not, he did. He got humiliated. Yeah. I think that to your point. Okay. What's up, Alexis? And I think Aggie 09 Texas got it right. They've got Biden in his pocket already. And that's his last comment that he just made. I think that is spot on correct. The one exception I would take with what you're saying, Luke, is that I don't think China is in it to be making money. I think that they are in it for world domination. I think Russia also is in it for world domination.
Yeah, totally 100% agree. I 100% agree with that. They have been going back 5,000 years. I got some moth flying around here.
I was wondering what you were doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, China's been going. Oh God, I mean, who was it? It was, I think, the early map makers. When they brought their maps to China, the Chinese emperors were offended at the fact that China was not at the center of the world.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that still persists, in my opinion, still persists today in the Chinese mentality.
I think it does too.
The CCP. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
for at least the CCP.
I think it does.
Probably many of the Chinese people probably could care less at this point, but yeah, I mean, I think for the CCP that still persists to this day. I think they are out for world domination, but I think Biden is out to make money. I think he's out to sell the country out. I think he views his office as a business. It's a business to him.
I do too.
And I think that for a lot of these politicians like Nancy Pelosi, I mean, dude, Nancy Pelosi, what does she care at this point? Why is she still doing this if not for money?
Couldn't agree more.
She's too damn old.
Couldn't agree more.
Can barely speak. At this point, it's like an old CEO who's like 65 years old. He could have retired at 35, but he's making so much money that he just can't stop.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's
Couldn't
like
agree
Biden.
more.
That's Nancy Pelosi. That's all these people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, I think they're selling this country out, and I think they're working in tandem with the Chinese to. The Chinese want world domination, sure. And we know that through the Belt and Road Initiative.
For sure.
And loan sharking companies using the Belt and Road Initiative, like Sri Lanka and many other countries, Mexico as well. And Biden's over here just making backdoor deals. And they're just saying, all right, we need to distract the American people. We can't have them asking questions. So we need conflict. We need charades. We need smoke and mirrors. Again, call me a conspiracy theorist, but just look what was going on before Trump, and then the Trump administration, and then look. Well,
that's what was going on exactly in the Obama-Biden administration. That's when these deals were being hatched with Hunter Biden. That's exactly when they were being hatched. So I understand why you say exactly what you say. So who knows, man? If so, that will come out in the wash. It may take a few years, but it will come out in the wash. I promise you that. So yeah.
I mean, for me, it's for me, it's like we just change loads and hit start again.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't disagree. So, all right, man. Well, I've got a couple of things to hit real quick. So let me hit these. Point very well made, by the way, man. At the moment, I disagree. But man, you're onto something. I hadn't thought of that. I had thought of it. It had been suggested to me. I just didn't connect the dots until you were like, this is the way they've always operated, which it is. It's the way they've always operated, The
thing that frustrates me is not that. The thing that frustrates me is not the fact that that's happening. To me, but of course, I would expect nothing less. That's entirely normal to me. What bothers me is Jack Posobiec and all these other people going around like, oh yeah, bro, you totally got had by the Chinese, bro.
That's not what he's saying. That's not what he's saying. Yeah, you're taking it out of context. That's not what he's saying.
That's the way it seems. That's the way it seems like to me. And I'm not saying you're saying that, but I'm saying like that they're running around going like, oh, they just humiliated Biden. They just dunked on you. And it's almost as if they're proud of it in a way. And it's like, guys, you're doing exactly what they want you to do, which is talk about that. And not this other thing. They want you to be looking over there. They don't want you to be looking over here. And this is where the right always fails. It's like they're just always the left is just always one step ahead.
Well, regardless of anything, what Posobiec was saying, and he's not saying it gleefully, by the way, he's saying this is very dangerous. It was a diplomatic owning. There is no doubt about it. It was a diplomatic fail. Is it orchestrated failure like you're suggesting? I don't know. Maybe.
But I mean,
maybe.
But again, I don't like. He should be saying like, is this a failure or is this a success? For Biden, I think there's
too much at stake. Yeah, this was such a disaster. It is going to affect us badly. Okay, don't worry. Don't think about them whether or not they're making money on it, which is quite possible, okay, it is going to affect us, the American people, very badly, very badly. And I mean, you've already got Erdogan, coming out complaining about Biden's comments about calling Putin a killer, right? We're going to lose a lot of goodwill in the world. We are, as if we hadn't lost it all already. So, yeah.
Do we even have to care about that?
Yeah. At this moment, yes, we do. We have a moron in the White House. Yeah, we do.
Yeah, but we don't need to worry about it. Oh man, what's the quote? Oh God, it was Leonard Peikoff, one of my favorite foreign policy quotes. It was something to the effect of, oh man, I can't remember the quote, but the spirit of the quote was basically like, the only time you need to worry about having goodwill is when you're not willing to defend yourself. That's the spirit of the quote. It's like they'll I remember what it was. We shouldn't be worried about their opinion of us. They should be worried about our opinion of them. That was the spirit of his quote. Where it's like, if we're worried about like, oh, what do they think about our goodwill, blah, blah, blah. We need to reverse our thinking. They need to be concerned about whether we have goodwill towards them. And
we forfeit that ground entirely with China.
Yeah, so, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
but,
yeah.
So I can, okay. Now, as you phrase it like that, like Jack Posobiec saying something to the effect of like, that's bad for us. This is bad for us. Yeah, but just come out and say it then. Of course, this is where the right fails us. It's like, of course it's bad for us. We all know that. We're not children. We're not in the 5th grade here. Just come out and say it. It's smoke and mirrors. It's charades. Of course, we're right back into conflict. It was 30 some odd days before Biden was already dropping bombs in Syria again.
Yeah.
Americans are suffering. They're not allowed to go back to work because of all this nonsense going on with the quote unquote pandemic,
which was never mentioned once in this summit at all. Yeah. Not one single time.
And yet here we are paying millions upon millions upon millions upon millions of countless millions of dollars, probably hundreds of millions of dollars if you count manpower, fuel, training, the creation of the bombs, all this stuff, probably hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars.
Definitely.
Dropping bonds in Syria.
Definitely.
Indebting ourselves to do so while Americans are suffering.
Yep.
And Jack Posobiec's over here going, oh, guys, this is bad for us. Oh, my God, dude. Like, do you not we know it's bad for us. All of this is bad for us. Okay, let's try and like get out in front of this a little bit and talk about like, is this on purpose? Are those the questions we should be asking ourselves? What's really going on here?
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is where the right fails us, man. They're not asking the right questions. They're not thinking 2 or 3 steps ahead like the left is constantly doing.
Well, in this case, I would give it the 48-hour rule, and I'm going to have to step up for Jack Posobiec here, okay? And I think you're attacking him a little bit unfairly, okay?
I'm attacking him because he's the only one of whom I'm aware. That he's the only commentary on the right wing of whom I'm aware. I'm sure it's a constellation of people saying the same thing.
It is,
and it's not just him. Yeah,
it is. But it was such an unmitigated disaster that I think, honestly, it's going to take maybe a 48-hour to 72-hour period to even wrap our heads around how bad it was, and maybe in the process learn some facts about what's going on with deals with Hunter Biden and the CCP. Again, maybe if we're lucky along the way, learn about stuff like this. You know what I mean? Yeah. And we're also we're going to have to see the fallout of that summit, where we're criticized, where we're praised, what our allies say about us. And
where I would say how badly we're criticized.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
To what extent do we accept such said criticism?
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right, let me blast through these last 2 points. I want to talk a little bit about, and then let's end that for segment 1 after that. Do you think? Is that good?
Yeah, dude, all that's right. Perfect. That's a great break.
All right, I probably got about 5 minutes here. Again, feel free to jump in at any time, please. So everybody has seen the clips. Who was it? It was Alexis who said that she enjoyed seeing Joe Biden fall. I did too, Alexis, but there's something really sad about it too, isn't there? I mean, Joe Biden sitting there prancing, doing his stupid jogging thing, running up the steps of Air Force One, and then all of a sudden everything just goes wrong. and he didn't already look right to me when he was getting off the helicopter and walking up to Air Force One. He just looked like he was barely there. And so, you know, I saw, while I'm not going to lie, I did enjoy it, and I've watched it numerous times and laughed. It is sad because you start thinking about things like your parents, your grandparents, right? When you're old someday, that could easily happen to you. And so it is a human tragedy, as well as the commander-in-chief of the free world falling like that and humiliating himself right in the middle of his stupid prance that he always does, which makes it all the more humiliating. You know, here, listen to this. Let's flash back. Remember, dear listener, when Donald Trump spoke at the commencement for West Point, and he was coming off the dais on that slick surface, and he began to slide on his shoes, and he had to grab onto the rail real quick. Remember that? Here's what Joe Biden had to say about that.
Step or two. What's your response to that?
Look at how he steps and look how I step. Watch how I run up ramps and he stumbles down ramps. Okay.
Oh boy. Oh boy. That didn't age well, did it? That did not age well. White House spokesperson on Air Force One said, "Oh, he's fine. He's fine. It's merely a scratch. There was a strong gust of wind that came and blew him over." No, it wasn't. Joe Biden overestimated his fitness. He thought he was such a badass that because he does think he's such a badass, he's just going to run up those steps just like him and Obama would do their stupid little jog on the White House lawn, like he would do a stupid little jog to his rallies with all of 6 people there. He'd jog in because Joe Biden's tough, right? Joe Biden's so tough. He told Putin he doesn't have a soul, right? Well, dear listener, looks like Donald Trump got a little bit of a dig in just yesterday. I'm going to play this just incidentally. Not sure that this is the right thing to do, respectfully, Mr. President, but here's what Trump said just yesterday.
I watched as Joe Biden went up the stairs today of Air Force One. I said I didn't lose to him. Which we didn't lose to him. We got almost 75 million votes and probably a lot more than that.
All right, so I did not lose to that man, is what Donald Trump says. Okay, now, dear listener, I want to kind of bring all this together a little bit. I want to synthesize some things about these 3 points: China, Russia, the fall, and the fall of the commander-in-chief, the American president, irredeemably so. I've got a Jim Hoff piece here from the Gateway Pundit. Joe Biden is in horrible shape, mental and physical. We all know it. The world knows it. Putin knows it. Xi knows it. The only ones pretending Joe Biden is in any physical and mental shape to run the United States are the Democrats, the anti-Trump Republicans, the Democrat mainstream media, and his personal handler, Jill Biden. Kamala knows Joe is lost. She tag teams with Jill as his handler when the First Lady has other business to attend to. I'm going to skip down a little bit. Here's what is going to happen. Look for an incident or episode to take Joe out. The media will report that Joe has hit his head, had a medical emergency, or had a stroke, or will have to resign and turn the White House over to Kamala. The media will cheer Joe's service to his nation. We all know this is coming. This probably is the end of the Joe Biden presidency. Rather, let me put it this way, dear listener, not the end. It is the beginning of the end, okay? It is the beginning of the end. You screw this up this bad, I mean, 3 whammies in 2 days, you don't recover. Want to play a little bit of audio from the war room. This is Raheem Kassam's initial hot take right after the fall happened.
About this, right?
Yeah,
but I don't think
it's not funny. It's not funny at all.
Yeah, like the wind
actually is a little
thing,
funny.
you know, ridiculous, quite frankly. There was and people have checked it, by the way. There was what the Weather Service calls a mild breeze this morning. So let's part with all the funnies on this for a moment, and let's talk about what's really happening here. It was a perfect example. What happens was a perfect metaphor for what's gone on over the last 6 weeks. It's America on her knees.
Okay, there it is. Metaphor. Okay, that's one way to look at it, Raheem, and I'll get there in just a second. Luke, in one way, I think that, who was it? It was Aggie09 Texas about Joe Biden being bought and paid for. I think he's exactly correct. I think that really this is what's going on. Let's go through these 3 disasters again. Dear listener, all right? I am becoming the more I think about what Luke argued about, there's probably some type of graft going on here, and this is a smokescreen for it. It's entirely possible, but I think also what that was not just a diplomatic scolding. It was outrage from the Chinese Communist Party because they have bought and paid for Joe Biden already. They gave Hunter Biden $1.5 million. 10% of which goes to the big man. Remember the comment from Hunter Biden's laptop from L. Billion. Sorry about that. Yeah. He is already bought and paid for. So they're not going to put up with his insolence at all. They are expecting return on investment right now. They're not going to be scolded on the world stage. And if you dare do it when we've already given you this much money, we're going to school you. That's what this is about. And I'm astounded that nobody's saying this. Yeah.
That's a narrative I could actually understand. That's a narrative I don't want to say get behind, but that's the only plausible narrative I could understand.
Yeah. Yeah. Dear listener, we can prove it 7 ways to Sunday. It is proven, right? Joe Biden's family has been paid off by the Chinese Communist Party. He is compromised by the Chinese Communist Party. And for his Secretary of State to have the cojones to come out and shout them down, they're not going to put up with it. They paid too much money for that. Makes sense to me too, Luke. Makes sense to me too. But then again, as I say this, I'm kind of getting your point a little bit more, because there's no reason Joe Biden wouldn't try to be getting more money. Hunter Biden already went back to China after he got the $1.5 billion and said they wanted more money. They've already done it once, right? Why wouldn't they do it again?
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah.
I just watched the fall video again.
Oh man, it's painful, man. It's painful. So, all right. So, dear listener, I want to return to the audio I just played from Raheem Kassam. Okay. He's got it. Raheem, I love you to death, man. I respect you like no other. You almost got it conclusively correct, but you're not quite there in talking about it in terms of a metaphor for America being on her knees. I understand what you're saying. Okay. But it's not just metaphoric, Raheem, respectfully, it is karmic. Okay. Now, dear listener, let me explain to you a little bit about what karma is. Okay. Everybody thinks of karma is like it all comes back on you. Okay. No, that's not what it is. Karma is simple cause and effect. Karma means that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. It means that every action causes other actions to happen. Okay. That's all that it means. This comes from Vedic philosophy. Okay. It's actually philosophy that is more ancient than the Greeks, right? It was written in the Vedas, the Hindu spiritual text, which I actually have read cover to cover. That's where they first started talking about the ideas of karma, even though this was already created in oral tradition before they began to write in Sanskrit and write down the Vedas. All right. That's where it comes from. And so the idea is, because there is cause and effect, you act with integrity, you act with love, you act with respect, right? Because if you put these types of well-intentioned actions out into the world, these are more of the reactions that are going to be caused. And more likely, if these reactions come back to you, well, they will be descendant of positive actions that you did. Okay. Now, this is, I'm not trying to say that the Vedic philosophy is greater than the Greeks. It is not. Okay. The Greek philosophy owns them, you know?
It's really just the law of causality. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. That's all it is. Yeah. It's even a scientific principle now, as well as a philosophic principle, right? So, yeah. All right. So, dear listener, with this idea of karma, where does this leave us with Joe Biden? What's going on right now? In other words, dear listener, what is the karma of Joe Biden? All right, well, let's take it in order. All right. He accepted the bribe from the CCP. Okay. He did. All right. He accepted the bribe from the CCP, and what happened to him karmically? He got owned in our own house on American soil in Alaska because China was not going to have it, right? Had he not accepted that payoff from the Chinese Communist Party, through his bagman, his son, oh man, Luke, we're so going to get canceled. None of this would have happened. I was just sitting here
thinking, I was like, we should just have Bob Ross playing nonstop through this whole show.
Right. None of this would have happened to him. That's his karma. His bad action came back on him. All right, let's look at Russia. All right. Had Joe Biden not tangled with Putin back in 2009, had he not just lied in this interview about, I told him he had no soul, right? Right. Had Joe Biden not tangled with Russia, or particularly, with Ukraine, and paid off Ukraine to fire their prosecutor, Viktor Shokin, who was looking into Hunter Biden and was going to prosecute Hunter Biden, had he not done that by withholding $1 billion of U.S. aid to Ukraine, right? maybe Putin would have behaved a little bit more charitably to him, right? Had Joe Biden not installed his son as on the board of directors of Burisma with absolutely no energy experience whatsoever, thereby pulling in $80,000 a month during his 3-year tenure on the board of Burisma, right? Maybe Putin would have been a little bit more charitable to Joe Biden. In other words, had Joe Biden not poked the bear, maybe the bear wouldn't have poked back. Karma, dear listener, it's not just metaphoric, it is karmic. Karmic is the way to look at it. Now, how about the fall, dear listener? Number 3.
Panda bear, no less.
Right. Had Joe Biden not lied about his health, had he been honest about his health, all this stupid jogging he does, all this tough guy talk he does, all this talking trash about Donald Trump he does, like we just played, right? Perhaps it would not have cost him his pride when he fell down on the steps of Air Force One. Had he not been so boastful and proud and lied about his health, right? Maybe we would have had a little bit more compassion about him falling on the steps. Pride do cometh before the fall, dear listener, does it not? Joe Biden, in short, dear listener, is a parable for all of us, right? First of all, karma is real. Cause and effect is real. As Luke said, causality is real. You reap what you sow. So, dear listeners, on this trail, let us all endeavor to be better human beings than what Joe Biden is, because we see right in the form of Joe Biden what happens when you're not a good person. All right. Now, should we show compassion to Joe Biden? That's kind of what Steve Bannon is saying on the War Room. We need to keep the commander-in-chief in our prayers. We need to pray for the commander-in-chief, right? Do we pray for the commander-in-chief? No, screw him. This man is a criminal. He's an absolute criminal. Dear listener, we've proven it over and over and over again. Let's run through it one more again. Ukraine Gate, self-interest foreign policy and enrichment all throughout his foreign policy master career. The China Compromise, the initiation of Spygate on January 6th in the Oval Office when he took a run at Donald Trump and threw General Flynn under the bus. What they did on December 19th, expelling the Russian ambassadors. There's another one. Had Joe Biden and Obama not expelled Sergei Kislyak and the Russian ambassadors on December 19th, thereby setting the stage to throw General Flynn under the bus, maybe Putin would like Joe Biden a little bit better, right? And dear listener, man, Luke, you got some Bob Ross, man. You got some Bob Ross. Let me.
I don't. Maybe
okay.
For segment 2, we'll have Bob Ross ready.
Okay,
to go.
all right. Since I've got Raheem here, I'm just going to play this. We got to confuse the bots, dear listener.
Thing that we're looking
dear
at
listener,
right now in the
most
United
of all,
States,
the thing that Joe Biden did most of all, his gravest sin is he stole the 2020 election, and he knows it.
Trillions of dollars,
Mr. Biden. Had you not stolen that election, you would not have been on Air Force One and humiliated yourself falling down. Dear listener, this is karma. This is exactly what karma is. And this is kind of ideal. While Raheem's talking about the metaphor of it, I'm talking about the karma of it at the same time. So you got double audio streams right there, dear listener. Now, do we ridicule him like Donald Trump did? Dear listener, I don't think so, man. You don't kick a man while he's down. Let's don't stoop to his level. Joe Biden certainly ridicules people all the time. He ridiculed Donald Trump. But dear listener, I tell you one thing that we do. Remember when Donald Trump walking off the dais at West Point and slid and had to grab the rail. Oh my God, the president's health is compromised. He has to be removed. We have to take him out by the 25th Amendment. They were all so serious about it. They didn't go in making fun of him like the right did with Joe Biden yesterday, making all the memes, hitting the golf ball in the back of his head, all that kind of stuff. No, dear listener, we don't take this and have fun. We hold them to their own standards in the Saul Alinsky tactics. We take this seriously. We question the health of Joe Biden because he is not fit to run this country, and thus, by pride making him fall yesterday, he proved it. He's proved it in the last 3 days. So, well, that's my spiel, Luke.
Before going to break, we had somebody comment, and I have to say, this is a really valid argument. It's really making me question my worldview. Paco 2190 space P says you are gay. So, thank you for the. I don't know. I don't know what to say.
That's a shrewd argument, man. Shrewd argument.
Honestly, it shakes me to the core.
Yeah.
It makes me question my whole worldview.
Nobody's ever called me that before. God. Wow. Huh. Huh.
All right, Alexis, thank you so much. This is a great stream. I'll try and catch more live streams. Keep fighting the good fight. Thank you so much, Alexis, for jumping in.
Thank you, Alexis. It's good to see you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, thank you, Paco 2190p too, man. It's good to see you. We pray for your health and bless your heart. So
yeah, when a Texan says bless your heart, that's not a good thing to hear. All right, dude.
Dang,
Take us out to break, Russ. Let's do this.
All right.
Man.
All right. Sounds good. Let me get my audio pulled up, dear listener. We're playing a lot of War Room this week, and that's because I've been playing a lot or listening to a lot of War Room this week. Despite my criticism of their arguments, I think they've been on fire. But what they have been on fire the most about, dear listeners, so far this week is Marjorie Taylor Greene. Now, dear listener, Representative Gomez from the state of California drafted a piece of legislation to remove Marjorie Taylor Greene from the House chamber. Okay, just remove her from the Congress. Okay, it had 73 supporters, right? One of which was AOC. All of them Democrats. There were no Republican supporters. Nancy Pelosi, at the end of the day yesterday, decided to table it. I just don't really support usurping the will of the people, and we're just not going to vote on this. Well, she didn't kill the bill, and so the bill is remaining in committee right now. At any time that Nancy Pelosi wants to come up and drop that bill on MTG, she just explained that on the War Room this morning, she can do so. Okay. Now, unfortunately, the War Room audio from this morning with Marjorie Taylor Greene is not yet rendered. It's hot off the presses, and I'd love to play it, but I'm going to play the audio from yesterday, almost as recent. We've got 2 clips of Marjorie Taylor Greene, and she busts it out, dear listener. She lays it down about what exactly is going on in our Congress right now, why she is doing what she does. And although we already kind of knew this in a way, it is so refreshing, once again, to hear somebody from the United States Congress say it. So we hope you enjoy it as much as I did. Luke, I hope you enjoy it too. We've got a 6-minute and 50-second clip and a 2-minute and 19-second clip. So it's about 9 minutes. You good with that, Luke?
Let's do it, man.
All right. Dear listener, thank you so much. We are halfway down this 120-mile trek. I guess that means we're 60 miles down it. We hope you're having as much fun as Luke and I are. Luke and I are going to refresh bevs and all that kind of stuff. And Luke and I will be back at you before you know it.
We now have a fighter. She's serving it up every day, serving up the heat, the fight. And this is why we love her. The notorious MTG is in the house. By the way, you come on War Room last week, and next thing I know, I turn around. They're taking up the game of trying to throw you out of the entire. Now is it trying to throw you out of the entire Congress? Is that what today's game is? What game are we playing today?
Well, I think it's time for everyone to catch up that we're under a communist revolution. And I'll tell you what's going on. I've been one of the only people standing firm and refusing to back down. I'm a person, I have never broken a law. I've never used drugs. I've never had a DUI. I've paid my taxes. I've never done anything wrong. I said a few offensive things on social media some years back in which I have publicly denounced and apologized for. But today, Democrats, with over 70 of them, introduced a resolution to have me expelled from Congress. But I want to tell you, this should infuriate.
On what grounds?
The words on Facebook a few years ago.
Is that what they're actually saying in the resolution?
Yes. Yes.
The resolution is because of
things I've said in the past, typed and maybe liked on social media, not as a congresswoman, as a regular private citizen. And then I stood before the entire world and said, I denounced that. I shouldn't have said these things. I apologized. I said, but I am who I am, standing firm in my conservative Christian values. But the Democrats are still moving forward and trying to expel me from Congress. But let's really nail this out. Let's nail this out. We have Maxine Waters, as a sitting congresswoman, stood in front of a crowd and called for Trump supporters to be attacked. We have Ilhan Omar, who married her brother, shared the Minnesota Freedom Fund bail bond link to have criminals bailed out of jail, asking for money to be donated to bail out BLM, Antifa rioters, criminals that attacked police officers, looted, burned, created violence in the streets. She asked for them to be bailed out of jail. Kamala Harris, as a sitting senator of the United States, shared the same Minnesota Freedom Fund bail bond link, asking for money to be donated to bail out criminals who attack citizens, police officers,
Federal
loot
property.
federal property. We have Eric Swalwell, who had sex in a relationship with a Chinese spy, who also raised money for him as a sitting congressman.
He sits on the Intel committee, right? Gets all the highly classified. The meetings are down in the SCIF. They get all the highly classified documentation.
Sits on the Intel committee, and this woman.
Have they put have the Democrats put a resolution out on Swalwell that maybe he ought to be off that committee?
No, but yesterday we tried to have him expelled from the committee, but it did not work, and not one single Democrat voted to have him removed. That Chinese spy that he slept with and had a relationship with also put interns in his office as a U.S. congressman while he sits on the Intel committee.
True story, dear
With all
listener.
the stuff that's facing this republic right now, the open borders, the closed schools, the CCP virus, the disrespect throughout the world that we're getting, this $1.9 trillion, the most radical piece of legislation attached with $1.9 trillion of cash that even the Democrats understand that Biden can't have a joint session because he's got to go around the country and sell. He's got to go up to Pennsylvania and take a 3-minute speech to sell this COVID bill to the American people because nobody really understands what's in it. One of the reasons nobody understands what's in it, the Republican Party done exactly a great job of showing it. Why do they have time? I'm just saying with everything that's going on, we still got the barbed wire. We still got the fences. Clearly, they're all worried about domestic terrorists. Why do they have time to single you out to try to now remove you from Congress?
Because I'm the greatest threat standing in their way. So here I am. I refuse to change what I'm doing. I'm calling for roll call votes on the floor to put every member of Congress on record, hold them accountable.
Just explain to our audience, why is a roll call vote? Why is what you're calling for so important?
Because the American people don't know, but many bills, most of them are called suspension bills, get voted on by voice. That means there will be literally 20 members of Congress or less in the chamber, and they'll call for a vote, and one side says, yay, and the other side says, nay, and the person sitting in the speaker's box will determine whether the yays or nays won, and it's always who's holding the majority, and then that bill will pass. But I've been sitting in the chamber saying, Madam Speaker, I asked for the yays and the nays.
And dear listener, yes, she is doing that, and she is the only one doing that. She is the only one getting these votes into record rather than up, down, yay or nay votes. It's astonishing.
And that means every member of Congress has to be called into the chamber and vote electronically. And then every member of Congress goes on record, and you at home can understand who voted for what, because that is you need to know what the people you hired to represent you are doing in this government that is out of control. I stopped a bill from being passed where Cori Bush introduced it, the BLM congresswoman, to get felons to be able to vote from prison. I did that by calling for a roll call vote. These are important things. I stopped $7.5 billion from being spent by voice by calling for a roll call vote. And I'm threatening every single thing that they're trying to do. So now they're trying to have me expelled. And then today, Twitter joined in, of course, and suspended me on Twitter.
That was totally random.
No reason given. No reason given.
But it was totally random. You know, it's totally random. We say there's no conspiracies, but there's no coincidences, right? The moment they move on you, all of a sudden your Twitter account.
Well, let me tell you one more thing. If the filibuster is taken away, SR1 is going to get passed. That's the federalization of our elections, everyone. HR1.
Yes.
Yes, it's HR1. In the Senate, it's SR1.
Yes.
So,
dear listener, I've got some show prep about this right now, this debate that's going to happen about the filibuster probably in the upcoming week. This is failure theater. Everybody's talking about, kind of in the Decepticon ways that Luke was describing in segment 1 about, of course, they're still making money under the table. Mitch McConnell came out and he was all scorched earth about if you take away the filibuster, it's just, we're going to go scorched earth on Democrats. No, he's already laying the groundwork for the filibuster to be taken away. And MTG happens to be quite correct right here. If they get rid of the filibuster, HR1 passes and our elections become federalized, permanent mail-in ballots, all under the control of the Fed because they know how to rig the election. Illegals voting, raining dogs and cats, dear listener, and worse. Let me go on with this clip. You got just a little bit left.
That is the bill that will federalize our elections. That means it's done. That means the Democrats will win from here on out. And we're on the verge of losing the filibuster. So what you see happening to me, a Republican congresswoman that is standing up and fighting back, and they're doing everything they can to take me down because I will not relent. What you're seeing happening to me, if they get rid of that filibuster, oh, you can forget it. It's game over.
She is too right. She is too right. All right, dear listener, we got part 2 of MTG's interview on the War Room in the House right now.
Congressman Green, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I want everybody at home to fully understand what is happening. This is a radical transformation of our country, and there is hardly anyone doing anything about it. But let me tell you what you can do. You can, instead of reading the media, you can read the actual bills yourself on congress.gov. Stop reading articles. Stop listening to the mainstream media. Read the bills yourself. You would be shocked. You people would be coming up here telling them yourself in person to stop the madness. I need your support. I need your support at home, and I'll tell you why. I am under attack. I am the #1 target the Democrats want to take out. Twitter silenced me today, suspended me for no reason at all on the exact same day that Democrats introduced a resolution to have me expelled from Congress for doing nothing wrong. They are the hypocrites. They are the enemy, and they're the ones that are trying to take me out so that they can go and come after you. You are the ones they want to take down because there are millions of you at home that they want to take people like me down so that they can finish off the job. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to do everything I can in Congress. I will continue to be there on the floor, demanding a record of how Congress votes and using floor procedures and using my voice in every way possible to stand up for our freedoms and our Constitution, because this may be the end of it if we don't all get together and start acting. So if you're able to support me, please text MTG to 89477. Text MTG to 89477.
Let's support the woman, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do that.
It helps me defend myself, which I desperately need the help. But most of all, I'm grateful for your prayers, your support, and everything that you do. And we can save our country. We can do it. And I need more of you to run. Please run for office, run at home, city council, county commissioner, school board, run for Congress. And I need more people that just care about just doing what it takes. It's not about popularity. It's not about the dinners. It's not about being a member of Congress. It's about saving our country.
It's a little bit about the dinners if I were running for office.
Yeah.
Welcome back to HSP episode number 120. That's only because I like good food, you know?
Yeah, sure, man. Yeah, and they get
has nothing to do
food,
has nothing to do with the schmoozing. All with the food. Speaking of food, man, I made some killer ass burgers. How many?
Oh, good, tonight. Man. Good. Good.
Yesterday, I made them. I saved some for my post show meal.
Oh man, I went to the steakhouse last night. I can't dox any information, but God, Luke, it was so good. And thank you very much, dear listener. You know exactly who you are. Thank you so much. I've been thinking about it all day. Sorry to interrupt, man. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, I mean, usually what I do is I invite some lobbyists over. I ask them, what should we talk about on HSP this week? They give me a narrative, you know, that way I don't actually have to formulate thoughts for myself. It works out very nicely. We all eat dinner. It's really, you know, simplifies things when what you need to say is just fed to you. You don't actually have to read. You know, gee.
Yeah. We'll be happy to talk about it, but that sounds like about the cost of a crawfish boat right there, bro. You're gonna have to.
Yeah,
you know.
I'm working on it, dude. I'm working on it behind the scenes. I basically, what dear listener doesn't realize, I've sold the show out already.
Yeah.
You know, just like we were talking about, you know, this argument with China being smoke and mirrors. I mean, our locals.
I got a point to make about that. Yeah, I got a point to make about that. But go ahead. Yeah,
I was gonna say our locals, our local zerogravitymedia.locals.com. I mean, that's just that's smoke and mirrors. You know, I've got lobbyists working the scenes. I invite them over each Saturday or Sunday, depending on when we do the show, how much we want to frustrate dear listener, keep them on their feet, keep them on their toes. That's what's really buying these crawfish, this crawfish boat. Going to make that happen.
Yeah.
But you know, we need a cover. and that's zerogravitymedia.locals.com. And if you want to go donate there, you can. I don't know why no, hold on. Let me rephrase that. If you want to donate to us, go to zerogravitymedia.locals.com. You can donate there. We post our content there, zero-gravity-media.com as well. And also you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and tune in all under. I have to do that in my head.
Yeah,
iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and tune in all under Zero Gravity Media. I mean, it's like so ingrained in me to say the platform which shall not be named.
Right. Right.
So yeah, you can find everything we do there. Anyways, you had a point. Russ messaged me on the break. He said, "Oh man, I forgot a point." Russ, what was your point?
It wasn't one I forgot. It was one that I just remembered from the past. I remembered this audio that we played from Tucker about 2 months ago, and it was this Chinese diplomat speaking at Beijing University, talking about how for the better part of the last 30 years, they have been bribing American politicians, all of them, through Wall Street and through other means, right? He was talking about Xi Jinping having a poetry reading at that place right next to Comet Ping Pong Pizza. It's something in prose. Is it poetry in prose? I can't remember what the name of the store is, right? But there was some type of obstacle, and they greased some palms, and suddenly Xi got everything he wanted. So I have to say that I now fully 100% agree with you that there are deals going on right now. I fully 100% agree. I just remembered that audio. I'd play it, dear listener, but it's in Chinese with subtitles, so no point in really getting into it, and it's long, you know what I mean? But it was telling. So yeah.
So Aggie 09TX says, how much to get to name the crawfish boat?
Whoa. Huh.
You got to fly out to Germany on a secret plane. And we'll have to discuss.
Yeah. Yeah. This we can't do this on the air. Aggie 09 Texas. But there's a price. Everything has a price. Aggie 09 Texas.
Yeah.
Every politician, everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll work it out. So
I mean, if you wanted to call it the La Crawfishita Express, we would even call it
dang.
that.
Ooh. Ooh. Oh man.
But that actually makes sense. La Crawfishita. Like you.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, you spell
Crawfishita.
it that way. Yeah. Yeah. I wonder how many
Crawfishita
people would actually get the reference. I bet a lot would. So a stunning amount, actually. So yep.
Yeah.
So
something tells me you could sell that on Groupon, like to San Franciscans for
probably
a lot of money.
Probably, yep.
Because they'd
Probably
be
so.
like, bro, you could post it on your Instagram, bro.
Yeah, right. Man, does Groupon still exist? I mean, I don't doubt that it does, but I haven't heard anything about them in forever.
Yeah.
I'm sure it does. Yeah.
How ironic would that be to catch a bunch of crawfish in the San Francisco Bay Area Delta, right? Load them on the boat, then drive out to the ocean and eat them there.
Indeed. Yeah.
Irony at its finest.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, you know what? We could just eat fish that we catch out of the ocean, but we didn't.
We didn't. We brought them from the Delta. Yeah. Yeah.
Surrounded by fish, but I'm still going to eat crawfish.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we might catch some fish, but we're throwing those back, man. We're keeping the crawfish. So yeah. So yeah. So
I gotta say, I've thought about starting a crawfish farm here in Germany. They came from Europe, but they ate them all.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, man, like here in Europe, dude, they spent centuries just like hunting all the deer out. I mean, this is why kings and whatnot, they were like, the peasants are not allowed. Like, you remember in the movie Robin Hood, where they got in trouble for killing that deer?
Yeah, I do.
That's because like all the deer were hunted out to the point where it's like you're not allowed to hunt anymore because the kings need the meat.
Yeah.
And this is why like the Italy and France, they have such a wheat-based culture. And in Asia it's like wheat in the West, wheat fields feeds the poverty, and in the East, rice feeds the poverty.
Yeah. Right.
And in Europe, we don't have bears, we don't have coyotes, we don't have deer. I mean, we do, but not like in critical mass like America. Like there's not there's wildlife, but not really. There's the hog population is creeping up, but a lot of it has to do with the hunting laws here. Hunting here is a trade that you learn. Much like an electrician. If you want to be a hunter, though, you also have to. I don't know. We could go on. We could. Maybe that's for another episode. We can talk about like hunting in Europe and how it works. But yeah, whatever the case. I mean, you're not gonna like get attacked by a bear hiking through the woods in Europe, unless you're in Romania or something. But like in Central Europe or in Western Europe, there's no like predatory large animals because they were killed off centuries ago.
Yeah.
And that's something I don't think a lot of people realize.
Yeah.
And the same goes for like crawfish, and like you don't really fish here. You know, it's really difficult to get a damn fishing license, you know?
I don't doubt that, man. I don't doubt that a bit. So yeah.
You even have to have a license to golf here.
Wow. Oi, you got a license?
Yeah, you have to have a license to pull a trailer, which is very difficult to get. You have to have a license to golf. You have to have a license to operate a chainsaw. You have to have to do everything. You have to have a license for like everything. It's ridiculous.
It's like California, man. So yeah.
Although
to be fair, you have to have a license to. Yeah. You have to have a license here to pull a trailer, for example, even a small trailer. You do. So you know,
in Texas.
Yeah, but it's not like this. It's not like you have to have a license. You have to get a license on the trailer, is what it is, right? So
no. You have to like take driving courses.
Wow.
Here. You have to take driving courses, and it's expensive. You have to take driving courses, and then you have to like, it's like driver's ed, but like 10 times more expensive to just pull a trailer. Even literally a trailer that's like the size of not much bigger than a wheelbarrow.
Yeah. Dang.
Literally, not like I'm talking like 4 feet by 4 feet, like 1 foot deep, 4 feet by 4 feet. That's like, I don't know. I could be wrong, but I want to say it's like several hundred euros, if not like €1,000 line. Getting just a normal driver's license here is like 2,000 euros.
Wow. God.
Huh. Yeah, because they try to separate the classes economically here. So if you're not of a certain economic class in Europe, you're basically weeded out from getting a driver's license and owning a car. You're beholden to public transportation.
Man, wow.
Yeah, dude, it's hilarious, man. Americans who think like, oh man, we need to all be of the same socioeconomic class, bro. You know, because like in Europe, you know, people are equal. Not like America. We have all this like, you know, wealth inequality. Yeah, well. Yeah, listen up, brah. You're not going to show up on the Muni golf course and playing golf here. That's only for a certain special economic elite who get to play golf.
Right.
You're not towing a trailer.
Right.
You're not driving a car. You're not owning a house here. I mean, you have to be like of a certain economic class to live like the lower middle class Americans live.
Yeah.
And that's like crazy. University graduates get to live like what lower middle class Americans live. Like people and Americans who have not legitimately lived overseas for an extended period of time are absolutely ignorant as to the comparison between the two. How wealthy Americans are versus the rest of the world. They can't even begin to imagine the delta there. It's absolutely shocking. And it takes like a couple of years of living overseas. And I'm not talking about the military moving you. Or a corporation moving you. I'm talking like you uproot yourself, go there, find your own cell phone, buy your own car, get your own insurance, rent your own spot, all this sort of thing, find a job, like learn the language, like the whole thing, the whole package. You do it all on your own, and you'll be thinking by the end, you'll go, my God, America is so much better than literally anywhere else. Not literally, but virtually. And it depends on what you're looking for. There's people who like Europe more than America, but those are for very certain specific reasons, like an interest in history and access to city travel and stuff. Anyways, I'm going off on a tangent, Russ.
That's all good. It's all good. Yeah, man. So let's ride, man. Where you want to go?
Matthew McConaughey.
Let's do it.
All right.
I love them high school girls.
You know, I like high school girls.
Because I get older, they keep getting younger and younger. Yeah.
No, they stay the same age.
That's it. They stay the same age. That's it. Yep.
Man, full on Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I was looking for the interview that I had listened to. Let me see if I can find it.
Joe Rogan, that one?
No. He was interviewed. I listened to a bunch of interviews today of him, but it was a news interview. Oh God, yeah, no, definitely not. The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. It was like a local TV station, and they're like, "So what's going on? Are you running or no?" And he was like, "Well, I'm not ruling it out." He's all but running for governor at this point.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. Any intel as to whether he'll run Democrat or Republican?
I don't know. I haven't gotten that far yet.
Okay.
I'm not quite sure.
I've heard rumor that he's going to run as a Republican, right? But I don't know that that's true. So, yeah.
My dad just messaged me and said family friendly. Is it not family friendly?
I don't know.
Did I say something? I don't know.
I don't know, man. I've gotten so numb to it now. I don't know.
I think it was the Jeffrey Epstein thing.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, yeah.
Well, I mean, call a spade a spade.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Sorry about
whatever
that,
the
Dave from
case.
Texas. Sorry about that. Yeah. Anyway. So, yeah.
Man, I'm getting censored by my own father in real time. Who needs YouTube when your dad can censor you?
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Is our stream even still alive? Have we been killed?
Yeah,
yet?
right.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, well, maybe we should test it and then we get see if my dad will censor me some more.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Well, okay, whatever the case. No, I have no intel as to whether Matthew McConaughey will run Democrat or Republican. It was the high school girls comment.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
That's not me that said that's future gubernatorial candidate Matthew McConaughey that said that.
And probably future governor, if he does decide to run, he will win in a landslide.
Probably.
So,
yeah. Yeah.
I really like it, Luke, because if he runs as a Democrat, the front runner, the highly anticipated candidate for the Democrats right now is Beto O'Rourke. Okay. Matthew McConaughey mauls him in the primary, Okay.
Absolutely.
Also, I have come to the opinion that Governor Greg Abbott gots to go. He gots to go. I've become very disenfranchised with Governor Abbott since the freeze. He's got to go. And what I would like to see happen at this point is I'd like to see Lieutenant Colonel Alan West primary him. I think Alan West has a good chance of taking him down. I think he has a really good chance.
100% agree on that.
Yeah. John Ratcliffe also I like, but I would rather John Ratcliffe primary Ted Cruz for a Senate seat coming up in 2024. Oh man, we blowing up the general. And but in any case, the thing I like about Matthew McConaughey is that he disrupts. He is so popular. He disrupts all of this, and he might actually be a pretty decent governor. He might, he really could be. So,
So basically, I listened to a bunch of interviews. He did an interview with Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson interviewed him about a year ago, I want to say.
Okay.
He did an interview with who's the British guy with the long hairs? Oh gosh.
Russell Brand.
Yeah, Russell Brand.
Mm-hmm.
A couple months ago.
Mm-hmm. I saw that one
around the November time frame, I believe. Mm-hmm. And then recently he did one with like some local news. Oh, actually, no, I found it, dude. Yeah, and this is 3.5 minutes. I think we probably only need to listen to like the first couple minutes.
Okay, sounds good. Before we jump into it, Aggie09 Texas says, Abbott has been on my S list since he shut down gyms. Yeah. West for president of Texas. Wait, I mean governor. Indeed, sir. I really like Alan West a lot. I think he'd be great. Yeah, he'd be great.
He was on Tim Pool this past week.
Was he really? Man, I got to see that. Okay.
Yeah, it was really good. Oh
Okay.
man, come on. What's going on? Why can't I? Oh, I know why. Because my freaking keyboard mappings. I've got to have like multiple keyboard mappings. Because
Are you on Dvorak keyboard map still?
Yeah, but I also have German Dvorak too.
Oh, okay. Ooh.
And I have programmer Dvorak and German Dvorak, which is even more difficult. But anyways, okay. So I just sent it to you. So this, dear listeners, pretty much all you need to hear. I just sent it to you, Russ.
All right, I got it.
They'll get into it within the next first couple of minutes. But mark my words, we'll see a Matthew McConaughey, Texas governor run.
Okay. All right. Coming at you. I say that.
Well, today, welcome back. So many Texas families are still struggling to rebuild their homes, their businesses, and frankly, their lives.
Perfect context for a Matthew McConaughey gubernatorial run. Exactly. This is something Governor Abbott terribly failed on. There's plenty of blame to go around, but I continue with the clip.
After those winter storms ravaged the area, millions of Texans were left in freezing temperatures without heat, without electricity, without water.
And now some much needed help is on the way in the form of a special benefit concert. Let me bring in Oscar-winning actor Matt.
Whoa, dear listener. Okay. All right. We're Texas, hosted by Camilla and Matthew McConaughey, a benefit with Charlie Sexton, Gary Clark Jr., George Strait, Casey Musgraves, Kelly Clarkson, Khalid, Kirk Franklin, Leon Bridges, Miranda Lambert, Lyle Lovett. This is an all-star cast right here, dear listener. Oh, and Willie Nelson. All right. It's a virtual benefit. Benefit for what? Is it a benefit for Texans? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a benefit for Texans.
And Matthew McConaughey is organizing it. Dear listener, this is a power play right here.
Totally.
That's what this is.
Totally.
This
you
is a power play.
Gubernatorial run.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely, man. You've convinced me. Yep. Here we go.
Matthew McConaughey, he is with us. Matthew or Matt or Mr. McConaughey or Governor McConaughey, whatever you want to call him. And I say that for a reason, and I'm going to just play this clip. We have to start here. You're messing with us, Matt. So let's play the clip first.
I'm looking into now, again, what is my leadership role? Because I do think I have some things to teach and share. And what is my role? What's my category in my next chapter of life that I'm going into now?
Matthew, why are you messing with us? Why? Are you running for?
No messing with. Really, honestly, there's no messing with. Everything I say there, I agree with what that man said, and that man was me.
Okay.
No, it's consideration until it's anything else. That's really all it is. I'm weighing my options again about what is my role going forward.
Do you meet the residency requirements right now in Texas? I think you have to have a residency for 5 years right now to run for governor.
He does.
Have you looked into it that far?
How about 51 years?
Okay, so we're good there. All right, why don't you take it from here, Amy?
You know what? Let's talk about what we know, what you are doing in this benefit concert. You and your wife, Camilla, have put together, and it's obviously to benefit those who have just struggled the most during these winter storms. And I love who's already on the lineup. Two of my favorites, Willie Nelson, George Strait, both of them. Jordan, tell us all about it.
Yeah, so look, we got a lot of people still hurting in Texas. You know, the freeze came in and knocked us down, and some people need some picking up. And so we got a benefit that's going to be a helping hand. It's going to be more of a restoration revival, as I'm calling it. We're going to share the soul of Texas and all of humanity through music and deed. I'm calling it a jam session of generosity that's going to be hosted and DJed by me, which you can tune in on my YouTube channel, 7 o'clock on March the 21st.
I'm watching.
See it all.
All right, did I hear right? Hosted and DJed? What's your role here?
Well, I'm the host / DJ, and I throw in DJ because if I even say DJ, I start talking more like I'm talking right now, which sounds a whole lot more fun than if I'm saying, well, I'm going to be the host. So basically, I'll be outroing songs, introing new songs, giving some spoken word, and showing you information of the people on the ground who you're going to be helping.
Whoa.
Dude,
You're absolutely right. You want to hear it? All right.
Love it.
Yeah,
I love it. The virtual concert is called We're Texas, and it's streaming this Sunday night on YouTube. Matthew McConaughey, you know what? You always bring it. Thank you. And we love those rose-colored glasses.
I do too. As we said, they're not too shady to be inconsiderate, but they're just shady enough to bring it down.
Thank you, Matthew.
That should be a new theme in life. I want to just be shady enough.
Shady enough. Same.
So what do you think? What are your thoughts, Russ?
First of all, he's on the right track. This is going to raise a lot more money than what AOC and Rashida Tlaib and all of them raised for Texans. This will overshadow what AOC did, which was great. I appreciate it, AOC. I really do. It's very generous. It's a lot more than Ted Cruz did. It will overshadow what Beto O'Rourke did by setting up the call centers to check on elderly, to make sure that they had food and blankets and all that kind of stuff.
We set up call centers and made sure that they don't have AKs, because if they did, hell yeah, we're taking them
taking
away.
your AK.
Do you have electricity and do you have an AK?
Exactly.
No, I don't have electricity, but that's why I need my AKs to go shoot something to eat it.
Exactly. Right. Yeah, dear listener, it cannot be understated, and I'm not trying to cry about it like I did in episode number, what was it, 116, right? Texas is devastated by the freeze. It was absolutely remarkable, and it was a failure of Governor Abbott, of Republicans, of Democrats, of ERCOT, of everyone. All of our leadership everywhere failed us in every which way. This never should have happened. It never should have happened. They're saying that there are 60-something dead now. No. Dear listener, this is media and political spin. There are hundreds dead. Hundreds. Not to mention the uncounted amount of livestock lost, entire herds lost, entire crops lost. I mean, I'm looking around where I'm at right now, dear listener, every tree is dead. Maybe they'll bloom in a couple, or bud in a couple of weeks. Maybe, probably not. Everything is dead. Texas was absolutely devastated. I know people who were without water for 5 weeks. 5 weeks, right? I was without water for about 6 days, right? So I didn't have it nearly as bad, right? Literally everybody digging snow for water. It was a complete failure. For Matthew McConaughey to recognize that fact and actually do something with, this is a good show, dear listener. This is a good show. He's going to raise millions off this, Luke. Millions and millions and millions. And man, I dig it. I think it is a great first step toward becoming governor. Great first step.
So, dear listener, I also posted his interview with Russell Brand. The name of the video, it's actually a clip from the whole podcast that he did with Russell Brand. It's not Brand.
Yeah, with the D. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, discuss politics and the left. So it's Matthew McConaughey and Russell Brand discuss politics and the left. It's a 13.5-minute video. I posted that. It's interesting. I would highly recommend listening to it, especially if you live in Texas. But I think everybody should, because if Matthew McConaughey runs for Texas, I think there's a strong chance that he wins. And especially with the moves that he's making right now.
Mm-hmm.
And if he does, it means a lot for Texas.
It does.
It means a lot for the country.
Mm-hmm.
And I also posted a podcast that Matthew McConaughey did with Jordan Peterson, which is 1 hour and 13 minutes. And I posted that in the chat as well.
Nice.
I would highly recommend listening to both, particularly because the first one with Russell Brand, they talk more politics explicitly.
They do.
Yeah, and then the Jordan Peterson podcast, Matthew McConaughey talks about his book that he wrote called Green Lights, and they get into a little bit more philosophy and stuff like this. Matthew McConaughey is an interesting character, man. He's, in his own words, aggressively centrist.
Yeah.
So he explicitly denounces the radical left. And I think he's kind of one of these where he identifies a little bit more with the right, but no, he's not going to get any traction with that.
And so he could endanger his career by doing so as well. So he's not going to do it, So yeah.
So I would call him aggressively milquetoast, trying to nudge people off to the right a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's good in the sense that I don't know, man. I don't know. He's good in the sense that he'll slow down the decay at the very worst. And he might be better in the sense that he slows down the decay and perhaps even sort of makes the right a little bit more palatable if he runs as a Republican. And I qualify that latter point as if he runs as a Republican. But if he runs as a Republican, he's going to be aggressively milquetoast, which I don't want a Republican to be. I want a Republican to be aggressively capitalist.
A killer. Yeah.
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 You know, and I'm reminded when I was listening to his interview with Russell Brand, you know, they were talking about, you know, Matthew McConaughey. It became very clear to me quite quickly that basically what he is a utilitarian. He wants the greatest good for the most number of people. And who can argue with that? He goes on about science, and we need metrics. Are employers happy? Are employees happy? Are, you know, how can we make sure that, you know, it's not how can we make sure everyone has health care, but how can we make sure everyone is happy with their health care situation, right? Even if they don't want health care, are they happy with that? You know, so he's very much a utilitarian in this respect. And I was just,
you know, pragmatist. So, well, no, utilitarian is the better word, but I imagine that he would govern as a pragmatist. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I think he's truly a principled utilitarian.
Okay.
Which I think is distinct from pragmatist. Pragmatist is just
go where the wind blows. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Utilitarian has a principle, which is like greatest good for the greatest number of people, which can leave some people out, which might be an injustice to them. You know, a capitalist is somebody who's all about justice. We want justice for everybody, win or lose, good or bad. You know, but it's justice, and justice is always and necessarily a good thing.
Yeah.
Justice doesn't fit squarely into utilitarianism because there's always this, what's the greater good, right? Matthew McConaughey is a utilitarian in that respect, but I'll take a utilitarian over a staunch leftist any day of the week.
Absolutely.
And I'll take a utilitarian over a pragmatist leftist and even a pragmatist Republican any day of the week. And that's who most of them are. If you take the pragmatist Republicans, the pragmatist leftists, the Democrats will say.
Those are the purples. Those are the blobs.
Those are the purples. Yep. And then you've got the communists and the socialists on the left outside of that. That's like 75%, 80, maybe even 90% of both of the political parties combined.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and then you've got like a few Josh Hawleys, a few Matt Gateses, a few over here on the right. And that's pretty much it.
MTGs. Yeah.
Yeah. And Matthew McConaughey exists outside of that in the sense that he truly is a principled utilitarian. And I will take that. It's not good. I want a capitalist, but you know, but it was funny, Russ, as I was listening to this interview that Russell Brand did with Matthew McConaughey, I was just sitting there thinking, I was like, you know, Matthew McConaughey, there's a cheat code for this, right? All you have to do is open up the console and type in all capital letters, capitalism. And then
indeed
you unlock unlimited happiness and unlimited money for those who deserve it.
Right. Absolutely. So yeah.
I always thought that like that SimCity would be the most boring game in the world if there were just a cheat code and you just type in capitalism and then you just like as
then everything just magically happens. Yeah.
Buildings as the person running the city, buildings will build, roads will figure themselves out. Everything. It's just like you just type in capitalism as the cheat code and then you just take your hands off the keyboard and the mouse.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a metropolis and
right.
Poor people become poor, rich people become rich, middle class is gonna middle class, and everything's gonna happen the way it should happen in accordance with everybody's individual behavior. So,
all right, Luke. So let me ask you. Yeah. Okay, I got a question for you. Yeah, it's important. It's important. Okay, go ahead.
I was gonna say, if I could just sum all of it up, I'll take Matthew McConaughey. Like, if he runs for governor and he gets elected, I am not too worried about it. I would even, I don't know, Russ, maybe I even take him over Abbott. I don't know.
I'd take him over Abbott. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not worried about it if he runs. That's my thesis. He's a utilitarian. That doesn't necessarily make him bad, but he's not our Lord and Savior. He's not going to save Texas either. It's a slowdown of the decay. All right, sorry, Russ.
That's all right.
I just wanted to sum up my thesis at the end.
Yeah. That's all right. And he does truly love Texas. I believe that. T-Sip though he is, kidding T-Sips. We love y'all too. We love T-Sips, don't we? We love our T-Sips. So anyway, let me ask you a question. Would you rather him run as a Democrat or as a Republican? I'll just come out and say it. I would rather him run as a Democrat. And depending on how it goes with Republicans, I might even vote for him as a Democrat. How would you rather him run?
I think that's a two-part question. How would I rather him run, and would I vote? Depending on that, would I vote for him given the party? Oh, that is a tough one, dude.
It is tough.
Yeah. Let's consider both. If he ran as a Democrat,
he would take out Beto.
He would take out Beto, that's for sure. But he'd also probably win. And I don't like I don't even like the idea of Texas having a Democrat governor. And then that's it. Yeah. On that alone, I would rather him run as a Republican.
Because he would take out Abbott, and Abbott got to go. He got to go, man. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, what is Abbott really doing? I don't know. Begging companies to come to Texas. I don't know. I just look at Abbott and I'm just like, what are you really doing, man? Okay, he's good, but he's not, he's not out here like, he's not Ron DeSantis.
No, not even close. Not even close. Steve Bannon puts it in terms of Governor Abbott is in the penalty box. Listen, the way he handled the freeze and the way I thought that so many of my loved ones were going to die, right? Because of Greg Abbott's leadership, right? And then his, investigation into ERCOT, right? Why did this happen? Oh, well, because we were within 1 minute of losing the entire power grid of Texas, and then we would have lost power for a month, and so we had to start doing the rolling blackouts and start pushing buttons on people who would live and die. Okay, I understand that. No, you drill down. Why did that happen? How did we get here? How do we fix this again? Greg Abbott's an attorney, man. He knows how to do that. He didn't do it, right? And so there's that. And then when he came out and called Gab an anti-Semitic social community, I was like, bro, come on, man. Come on. Pick the things that matter, Yes, Nate's in the house. He says, yo, I bought you that shirt, Russ. Yes, you did, Nate, and it is my very favorite shirt. Thank you so much. I wear it at least weekly. And notice how well it's holding up, right? And I love it, Nate, because it taunts both liberals and conservatives alike, only the guilty, though. And so, yes, thank you so much, Nate. You did buy me that shirt. Man, that was antiquity. That was like in 2015, I believe it was, 2015. Once again, I thank you so very much, Nate. Yes. So,
it just dawned on me, and I want to mention a couple comments that Aggie09 Tex just mentioned as well. But really quickly, I just want to say I also think it would be a good thing for Matthew McConaughey to run as a Republican as opposed to a Democrat. Because that the left won't be able to help themselves and try to cancel him.
I had never thought of that. You're absolutely right. They will. They'll go after him. And he will be permanently. If he runs as a Republican, his Hollywood career is over. He will
He's already saying it's over. He's like, I'm looking at what as a leader, what's my next chapter in life? He's already declared it to be over.
Yeah, he's gotten an Oscar. They'd probably try to take that away from him, cancel him to that level, He played an outstanding role in True Detective. And I always disliked Matthew McConaughey until True Detective, and man, he really stepped it up on that. So yeah, he's done everything he wants to do, and he is.
Question is whether he can be a true Republican.
I mean, yeah. I don't know.
I mean, he'll be aggressive, but I want to.
Nate, you're right. We've been a little bit too much with a forced dichotomy here. He could run independent, right? He could run independent and clean the swamp up a little bit,
Yeah.
And he could.
I'm all about BTFOing Republicans at this point, for better or for worse. Let's get it over with. Be aggressive, milquetoast, or just be capitalist. I want to go back to something that Aggie09 Tex said is. He said, I think the cheat code is John Galt.
Well,
all right, Matt, read. This is Matt. I know who he is. Matt, read Capitalism, the Unknown Ideal.
I've been
John
meaning to read
Galt's
that.
speech is all about capitalism. It's one and the same. And then he says Shoe Bros called it well the other night in saying Abbott only ended the mask mandate because the legislature was going to meet and end it anyway. And,
yeah.
I can't speak to that one way or the other.
I can. The Shoe Bros did call it, but they're Shoe Bros, most respectfully, I 100% agree. There is another reason that he did it, and that is that he was polling so badly because of the way he handled the freeze, and he had to throw a Hail Mary pass to get his poll numbers back up because he's up for election in 2022. Both of these premises are equally true, But you're right. The legislature was going to end it anyway. They were. So might as well get out in front of it and score some political points and get back in the black on the polls. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, dude, even here in Germany, like Merkel's in hot water. Like she just took a huge hit. The Green Party, just had a massive win in Germany. And
it's true.
Yeah, the German government's in hot water. They've gone from German people agreeing 65% with the lockdowns to now it's dropped down to 35%.
Right. That's what I'd heard too. Yeah.
So it's, that now the politicians are like, oh, how do I maintain my narrative while also not losing the country? It's like, the German people are the kind of people I've mentioned this on past shows. They're like the cat flicking their tail. The French people are like dogs running around, if they're mad, mean, angry, sad, happy, friendly. The Germans they're like a cat just sort of sitting there. And then you just see the tail flicking.
Yeah.
And then by the time the cat attacks, it's over. And now it's all out war. That's the German people. And right now, the German government is looking at the German people and they're saying, okay, oh God, the tail is flicking.
Yeah. The English too, man. People are getting really tired of this, dude. So yeah.
They're more like a sloth.
Yeah, well. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I've got a little English in me.
Because
the English, they're just sort of like eternally friendly, right? Oh man.
Yeah.
Like from European Vacation.
Yeah, right.
The British guy that's always just like getting hit by Clark and hit by the car and then ran over and.
Yep. All right, man. We're getting the shadows are getting long. I've got so much show prep left to get through, man. I guess we'll just table it, man. It's important stuff, though, unfortunately. Dear listener, election 2020 and 22 are two separate topics I wanted to get to. The fact that the Democrats are trying to steal the Iowa election is something I really wanted to get to. But I think on my show prep, I'm going to leave you with this immigration amnesty stuff. Okay. They just opened up the Dallas Convention Center this weekend to 3,000 15 to 17-year-old illegals to house them in there, whether or not they have the Kung flu. This is going to be a disaster. A disaster. Well, it wasn't just Dallas. It's also San Antonio, Beaumont, Midland, Ross's hometown, and I can't remember the fifth town, right? But they're opening massive concentration camps, essentially is what it is. And they're letting all these people in Texas, right? They're taking migrants in through the border and housing them in massive facilities. And essentially they're coming in, the feds are, like in the case of Dallas, for example, they were like, we're going to lease the convention center and there's nothing you can do about it. And we take over operations at this point and nobody is allowed in. Okay. Now that was one thing Greg Abbott did well. He was like, okay, we have to at least have Dallas police be able to come into the building. Okay. And they were like, okay, we'll make that concession. Right. So that was good. Abbott also put the Texas Rangers on the case of the Coyotes, the ones responsible for the smuggling. Got an article about that. That's good. That's good. So, I mean, Abbott's not whole cloth bad. He got to go, but he's not whole cloth bad. Right. So, Harlingen, that's the fifth center. Okay, so we've got Beaumont, Dallas, San Antonio, Midland, and Harlingen. 5 massive facilities that are being set up to house illegals because the FEMA and DHS facilities are at 700% capacity right now. Dear listener, we're talking about 130,000 children coming through by the end of the year. We're talking about 130,000 that have already been apprehended Those are only the ones apprehended. 6 on the terrorist watch list, infinite amounts of people with Kung Flu that are not going to be tested. Texas is actually paying for the meager amount of Kung Flu tests that are being given to migrants that are coming in. It's a disaster, okay? And in the face of this, the House this week passes 2 amnesty bills. It's going to amnesty about 4.4 million illegals, okay? Everybody is talking about how it's never going to pass the Senate. Dear listener, it's going to pass the Senate, okay? The Senate already came out with their own immigration amnesty proposal this week. Lindsey Graham did it. It's going to pass the Senate. It is going to pass the Senate. There are 8 Republicans that flipped in order to pass this bill. It was unanimous Democrat consent. Both of these bills in the House, unanimous Democrat consent. And these 8 Republicans flipped with the Democrats. They are Representative Don Bacon, Republican Nebraska, Representative Maria Salazar, no surprise there, Republican Florida, Representative Dan Newhouse, Republican Washington, Representative David Valadao, Republican California, no surprise there, Representative Fred Upton, Republican Michigan, no surprise there, Representative Brian Fitzpatrick, Republican Pennsylvania, definitely no surprise there, Republican Chris Smith, Representative Chris Smith, Republican New Jersey, Representative Carlos Jimenez, Republican Florida, and Representative Mario Diaz-Balart, Representative Florida. So there's a lot of Florida Republicans who flipped in favor of amnesty. Dear listener, it's going to pass. This is going to amnesty 4.4 million at the least. So, and I've got the sources to prove it, but no need in drawing it out, I suppose. So, yeah. Dear listener, keep your eyes on what's going to happen in the House, whether or not they're going to overturn Marionette Miller Meeks' seat, which she won legitimately, certified by the state. The hypocrisy of the left knows no bounds, even though this election, oh my God, Pennsylvania was certified. Donald Trump can't go and sue because the state certified it. But even though Iowa certified their election, well, we're going to overturn it in the House by legislation, right? They're seriously going to try to do it, and that is going to happen this week. And she won by a mere margin of 6. They're saying that 22 votes were illegitimately thrown out. I've looked into it. Every single one of those 22 votes was legitimately thrown out. They were questionable. They lacked signatures. That is against state law in Iowa, okay? The Congress is going to try to overthrow them and overturn that seat. And why, Luke, guess who is behind the efforts to overturn Marionette Miller Meeks' seat?
I don't know. Tell me.
Mark Elias, none other than.
Oh, yeah, of course.
He's the one leading the charge. Yeah. Yeah. I've got a piece here. Republicans finally noticed Hillary's attorney behind nearly every 2020 lawsuit. Dear listener, Luke noticed that back in last October. Why is it that Republicans are just now coming around? What is it, 6 months later at this point in time? We were out in front of this. We called Mark Elias out eons ago, dear listener. We called him out in Spygate, as a matter of fact. So, if I may say, which I do.
So are the Republicans, are they actually saying this now? Like Mark Elias? Oh, Mark Elias?
Yeah.
Oh my God,
they're saying he has a conflict of interest in this lawsuit in the House, or not the lawsuit, in this piece of legislation in the House. They're saying he has a
conflict of interest with being an American.
He certainly does, man. He certainly does. So yeah,
he is. I would say, like, dude, he is like the. You know the meme that the movie 300, right? When Xerxes is like about to finally attack the Spartans, and they're on coming into the Peloponnese, and that squirmy, and they replace everybody's face, right? So Xerxes they've replaced that with George Soros's face.
Oh yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, it was good, man. Yeah, that was Me More One stuff right there, man. Yeah.
And then that little squirmy little in the real story, because that was based on a real story, was that was a farmer who knew his way through the mountains, who could then take the Persians around and then properly attack the Spartans. And in the movie, that little squirmy little humpback guy comes walking to the front. Well, somebody had re-memed that to be Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
Back in Meme War 1. Yeah. That little squirmy little farmer dude, that actually is Mark Elias.
Mark Elias. That's right.
That's
sure
that
is
disgusting. Got to keep it family friendly.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he is one of these people who hates this country.
Yeah, he
absolutely detests this country. He hates you personally.
Yes, he does. He wants the country overthrown. He hated Donald Trump very personally, and dear listener, that's why he was instrumental in creating the Steele dossier. He was, right? He brokered it. I mean, Hillary paid him to do it, but he was the broker for the Steele dossier. Aggie 09 Texas leaps in. It's Biden strikes back for Abbott, bucking the corona narrative. That is true, and that's not even the whole story. That is 100% true. It is political punishment. It's biological punishment at this point in time. It also has to do with the fact that Abbott opened up Texas again. He wants to increase corona numbers in Texas for the insolence of opening Texas back up, make Texas look bad, make Abbott look bad, try to flip the governor's chair Democrat. And it also is about installing illegal voters in Texas. It's all about turning Texas blue as well as punishment. So, yeah.
So I'm going to read from his Wikipedia because just in case anybody is not aware of who he is. This is his own Wikipedia page. Mark Elias is an American attorney specializing in election law, voting rights, and redistricting. He is a partner at Perkins Coie and head of the firm's political law practice, previously serving as general counsel for the Hillary Clinton 2016 presidential campaign and John Kerry 2004 presidential campaign. Elias oversaw the state-by-state response to lawsuits filed by the Trump campaign contesting the 2020 election results on behalf of the Biden campaign and the Democratic National Committee. In 2020, he founded Democracy Docket, a website focused on voting rights and election litigation in the United States. By that, what they mean is a website focused on destroying our election process in the United States. I'm jumping down. There's just a couple more sentences. In April 2015, Hillary Clinton engaged Elias as attorney of record for her 2016 presidential campaign. According to the Washington Post, in April 2016, Elias hired Fusion GPS on behalf. This is what Russ was just talking about. In April 2016, this is Elias's own Wikipedia page, which he most certainly would have gotten corrected if this were not true. According to the Washington Post, in April 2016, Elias hired Fusion GPS on behalf of the Democratic National Committee and the Clinton campaign to create the research that resulted in the Steele dossier. WAPO reported that on his own Wikipedia page. It says this. If you don't think he has the power to change that on his own Wikipedia page, I don't. On October 24th, 2017, Perkins Coie released Fusion GPS from its client confidentiality obligation. Moving on, a couple more sentences. Elias serves on the board of advisors of Let America Vote, an organization founded by former Missouri Secretary of State Jason Kander that aims to end voter suppression. What they really mean by that is to end the integrity of the vote. Going on, Elias served as the attorney for Dan McCready during the investigation of fraud allegations in the 2018 election in North Carolina's 9th Congressional District. In January 2019, Elias became general counsel of the Kamala Harris 2020 presidential campaign. And finally, ahead of the 2020 election and amid the coronavirus pandemic, Elias filed dozens of lawsuits to expand voter access. By that, what they really mean is to not have signature verification. They sued the state of Texas in particular 12 times. They sued Texas 12 times. They sued virtually every state in the United States, even the states in which they knew they had no chance. Elias was the one that brokered the deal with Georgia.
He did.
All of them. Following
Michigan.
the election.
Michigan.
Following the election, Elias also represented Democratic candidates Anthony Brindisi and Rita Hart in lawsuits concerning their narrow congressional races. This man, more than any other human being of whom I'm aware, is responsible for destroying the integrity of our election system in the United States. I personally think this man needs to be tried for treason, and I'm not going to elaborate on what else I think needs to be done to this disgusting, filthy human being.
He is, man, a piece of filth. So, But he is an effective hitman. I would never take that away from him. He is an effective hitman. So, yeah.
I wonder what his net worth is. Let's see what his net worth is.
Can you find that?
Oh yeah, of course you can. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. Mark Elias net worth. Let's see. Maybe not. Maybe. Okay. Are you 1 to 5? That's it.
Nah,
1 to 5 million.
Yeah.
His net worth has been.
That's 1 to 5 million on American shores. There's another 50 million offshore somewhere.
His net worth has been growing significantly in 2020. So now, how much is Mark Elias worth at the age of 51 years old? Income source is mostly from being a successful lawyer. He is from the United States. We have estimated his net worth, money, salary, income, and assets. Net worth 1 to 5 million. Salary under review. Net worth pending. Salary 2019 under review. House not available. Cars not available. Source of income lawyer.
Huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So basically, that's just you're just pulling a number out of a hat.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is, man. So
yeah. Well, this guy's one of these disgusting. They talk about, like Putin talked about. He's like, he said this in an interview back in, I don't know, like 2015 or something like this, a few years ago. Putin was being interviewed in another country in another language, and it was subtitled. And Putin was like, I'm sure Barack Obama, is a great guy in the sense that he wants democracy for his country and stands for progressive values and blah, blah, blah. But let's be honest, he has nothing. It's men in black suits that run the country.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what Putin said.
Mm-hmm.
The men in black suits are Mark Elias and these other disgusting pieces of filth.
Yeah.
And Trump failed entirely at draining when he's talking about draining the swamp, this is what should have been drained from the swamp.
Yeah, man, he surrounded himself with the wrong people, trusted the wrong people far too long. So, that includes Republicans as well, by the way. So
totally. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I think a lot of I think in many senses, the Republicans were the ones that kind of they deluded Trump into thinking
I do too.
Everything's fine.
Yeah, I do too. It was these.
How did Republicans not? How is it that Ken Paxton gets sued 12 times in the lead up to the 2020 election, and that doesn't get communicated to Abbott, which doesn't get communicated to? How does that happen? How's Mark Elias run around the country suing all the states, trying to destroy their systems of election integrity? How is it that Mark Elias can do that, and the Republicans are just like, oh man, Russia's collusion?
Yeah, I know, dude. I know.
Russia collusion. See? Like going on Tucker's, Russia collusion. It's a hoax. Meanwhile, the left is like, yeah, you keep talking about that. We're going to keep suing the states and destroying the election system.
Yep.
Smoke and mirrors, dude. Smoke and mirrors.
It is.
We're going back
it
to
is.
segment one.
Yep. You got a point there, man. You got a point. So, yep. And it's
like
relentless, man. It's smoke and mirrors, and it's the plug and play agenda, right? Like if they lose on one front, they can just pick it up just like that. If they lose, for example, the Atlanta shootings, if they lose the race narrative, which I think they will go all in on gun control, which they already are doing. They didn't even waste 24 hours.
The damage is already done.
So, yeah.
The damage is already. They do the damage, and then the media moves on.
Yep. Yeah.
And then it's up to people like us to have to come pick up the pieces, and then there's like a few stragglers coming behind, going like, "So what really happened?"
Yeah,
and then we're here, picking up the pieces.
Yeah,
this is where the right is failing us, man.
Man.
I had somebody, and I know you're listening right now, and I had somebody come to me and say, "Luke, you're really harsh on the right," and there's a reason for that. If I were they're like, but they're not your enemy. And I was, I said back to this person, I said, look, if I were Catholic, I wouldn't be watching the pedophilia at the highest ranks in the Catholic Church and going, but they're Catholic.
Yeah. Right.
No, there's
sorry to laugh. It's nothing personal, Catholics. It's not at all, but it's it's a perfect analogy, So
I wouldn't be sitting like we have principles. Here we go. I'm clapping. I'm doing the Twitter clap. We have principles. And it's like, I don't care if you call yourself a Republican. I don't care if you call yourself a Catholic. I don't care if you call yourself a socialist or communist. If you say you're something, then show me your principles.
Yeah.
Show me your principle face.
Yeah. Yeah.
and stick by it. And show it to me through action.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if you want to be the Pope, or if you want to be at the highest echelons of the Catholic Church, then show me your actions of being that by not raping children and being a good Catholic. If you want to be a Republican and you don't want me to criticize you while you call yourself a Republican, then stand for freedom, liberty, individual rights, and stand for it staunchly and get out in front of these people like Mark Elias and stop them in their tracks. Take that to Tucker Carlson and tell Tucker Carlson this whole Russia collusion nonsense is a narrative that they want us to be distracted by while they go and destroy our election process. And that's what's happening right now. This should have been the narrative that the Republicans were coming out with last June. That should have been the narrative last June, but they were still, you know.
To be fair, Donald Trump did. No other Republicans did. Not one. Not one. Donald Trump did, though. They're trying to steal the election. You know, he tried, but yeah. So what avail?
He was like back in one of the reasons why I was kind of like, okay, you know what? We got this. We got this. Is because like even back in 2012, Trump was tweeting about election fraud.
Yeah, he was.
In the 2012 election, he was tweeting about it. I was like, okay, Trump's out in front of this. Trump's out in front of this. Trump's out in front of this. And the right showed themselves to be weaker than we ever could have possibly, weaker and more useless than we ever could have possibly imagined.
Kevin McCarthy looking at you. Yeah. Mitch McConnell looking at you. Lindsey Graham looking at you. Mike Lee looking at all of y'all. All of y'all. I mean, it's easier to name the ones that aren't. Marjorie Taylor Greene is not, dear listener. Be Marjorie Taylor Greene, right? Be Marjorie Taylor Greene. So yeah.
So that's why I'm on about the right, because it's like we have to let's fix them, and then we can start. Okay, once we're fixed, then we can start dealing with the left.
You know, Luke, this is part of the reason I wanted to talk about the 2022 election. I'm getting pretty white-pilled about it, man. I've got 6 articles here. In the interest of time, because we're already long in the tooth on this episode, I'm not going to do it, right? Maybe I'll save it for next week, dear listener, because this information is sticky. It's not like it's going to be old next week. But some interesting things are going on. Interesting lawsuits in Georgia, interesting lawsuits in Arizona, interesting primary data coming in, right? Interesting voter sentiment swings, interesting election analysis, right? Dear listener, I'm not going to say that I'm predicting this, but Boris Epshteyn came on the not the forum, came on the War Room this week, and he was like, all right, plus 30 in the House, plus 5 at least in the Senate. Book it. And his analysis as he went through it was shrewd. And I went back and started pulling up articles and looking at it, and I was like, mother of God, he happens to be correct about this. He is entirely correct. So, dear listener, we're looking good for 2022. We're looking pretty good. We can't take our foot off the gas, right? But, Luke, this is to your point. That is the first step in fixing this mess. That is the first step is 2022. Things are looking good. And, dear listener, if you're going to run, if you're going to become a precinct principal, right, now is the time. Do it right now. Do it right now. If you're going to run, start raising money right now. You're going to become a precinct boss. And by the way, Luke, I've got a story to tell. I'm not ready to say it on the air yet, but I'll tell you after we get off the horn. This is really interesting. I found something shady out. Something shady. Now is the time, dear listener. Now is the time to mobilize. So, and Luke and I will do our best to keep you informed and give you the facts that an opinion, the hard-hitting commentary, if I may say, which I do, that even others failed to notice. So, and which I think we've done a decent job this week. So I don't know, dear listener, the content this week is a little bit contrary to what you've been hearing in the mainstream media, especially, but even the alternative media. So heard it here first, heard. So
always do, man. Just wait, give it about a month. Everyone will be saying the same thing that we just said today.
Oh yeah.
Happens every time.
Yep, and acting like they're the genius sage who thought of it. Not to say Luke and I are genius sages, but kidding, dear listener, just kidding. So,
all right, dude. Well, you want to close it out?
Yeah, let's do it, man. Yep.
I'll run us through. Yeah, run us through my social. So, dear listener, like we were talking about earlier, we have lobbyists that pay for the show, so don't bother donating money. But we do need to keep the ruse going. We need to keep the front going. We need to keep the smoke and mirrors, the charade, so nobody asks any questions. So if you want to keep the charade going, go to zerogravitymedia.locals.com. You can donate there. You can find everything that we do, zero-gravity-media.com. You can find our audio on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and TuneIn, all under Zero Gravity Media. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter at Zero Gravity Med. You can find me. I don't get on Twitter anymore at all. It's just a wasteland of nonsense. But if you want to, I guess you can follow me. I don't know. A Parler, I guess, is up. I tried to get on there and they were like, "Oh, hey, take the survey to re-update your
I know,
profile."
man. You got to start over. You got to start over on Parler. I tried to do it too, and I got frustrated, man. So,
yeah, and it's like choose your color and blah blah blah. It's like, dude, anyways, I don't know. I'm over social media at this point, but whatever. I'm like the Owen Wilson in Wedding Crashers, where his answering machine is like, whatever. That's like his answering machine. That's like how I am.
Right.
Social media.
Totally. Yeah, I am too, man. It's so tiresome. Dear listener, I'm looking at setting up a Signal, and I'm looking at Clout Hub and Telegram as well, and Clubhouse. So therefore, God, even the thought of it just exhausts me, man. So
yeah, I'm on Clubhouse, but I for like a couple days I was like, oh man, this is great. This is like the future of social media. And then I immediately got bored of it within like a week, because basically all it is live streaming, but no video. And instead of commenting in the chat, you can raise your hand, and then the hosts will bestow upon you the opportunity to speak.
Huh.
You didn't know that about Clubhouse?
No, I didn't.
No. So it's like the whole idea behind it is that you're like in a building, right? And you can like let's say you're attending a conference, and there's like all these different talks going on at a conference. This is like the digital version of that. So you can walk through and you can walk in and out of
jump into breakout rooms. Yeah.
Yeah. And hang out there. And if you don't like it, you can leave and go to a different one. And then when you go into a room, you can raise your hand, and they're like, "Oh, question." And then you can ask your question.
Yeah.
And that's the platform, but digital. So it's like, but it it's not just people talk. It's supposed to be like people hanging out in a room and talking, but you go in and it's like a live stream, but without video.
Yeah.
It's the same damn thing. It's like what we're doing now, except instead of people commenting in the chat when they want to comment, it's like, imagine if the chat could just raise their hand, and then we're like, "Oh, hey, we're going to bring you on the live stream, and you can ask your question." It's like, it's utterly meaningless and pointless. It's like another one of these Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley is like a damn pyramid scheme, dude. It's just VCs needing to pump more money into new companies that get more Series A, then Series B, then Series C, then Series D.
That are really only trying to sell their startup. That's all they're trying to sell. Yet another level of the pyramid. So it's crazy.
So I was over Clubhouse within like 2 days. I tried to get on yesterday and listen a little bit and like some objectivist content, and I was like, God, like 30 minutes in, I was like, nope, can't do it. If anything, it makes it even worse, because like when you're in a live stream or you're doing, this is the thing, like everyone bitches about radio and commercials, but you're on a schedule, you're on an agenda. It's like, boom, you have to do the content. Boom, boom, boom. You're on a schedule. You need to go. Like when you're on Clubhouse, it's like, so, what do you want to talk about? Oh, I don't know. And this like goes on for 30 minutes, and then we're gonna have somebody ask a question. Oh, and then someone's like, yeah, man, I just wanted to know if I just wanted your idea on, and you're like, Jesus Christ, dude, where's a damn FM radio or AM radio?
So family friendly. So
I think damn's in the Bible.
That's
family. Bible's family friendly.
Yeah. Well, and you took the Lord's name in vain. So
that's true too. Yeah. But anyways, you get my point, dearly. I'm just so over this. So all that is a long-winded save. I don't know. Follow me on social media if you want. I don't really care.
wherever I land, dear listener, I will be Russ ZGM. That will be the best way to find me, and we'll see where that goes. And before we ride, are you ready to ride, Luke? You ready?
Yeah, let's do it, dude. All
right, pitch camp. All right. Before we get on up out of here, Aggie09 text says the right wins by spending our stimmy bucks on sporting goods. Hey, Aggie09 text, don't hate. I'm going to give some money to MTG, but I'm also going to buy myself an AR-15, which is considered a sporting good. It is not an assault rifle. That's a sporting good. If I can find one, that is. So, yeah. And I've been looking and I have not found one yet. So I'll report back, dear listener, and I'll let you know. All right. All right. Let's do it, Luke. What do you say?
Let's do it, man.
All right, dear listener, we have made it all the way down this 120-mile trek. Thank you so much for riding along with us. We hope you had as much fun as Luke and I did. We hope you learned as much this week as we did. We hope you were able to stay in the saddle like we did. It was a wild ride, but we all made it. Now we're going to pitch camp. We're going to enjoy each other's company. We're going to pass around the bottle. We're going to make some food, and we are going to have fellowship. In the meantime, dear listener, you take care of yourselves. You be good to each other. Support each other. Learn as much as you can. Watch what happens with this Iowa seat this week, okay? Watch what happens in the news. Luke and I'll dig into it, and we will come at you next weekend on time and under budget with the facts, with the receipts. We'll tell you what's going on in our observation, our opinions, right? We would like to hear yours too, so please log on to YouTube anytime you feel so inclined and leave us your comments. We would love to hear them and let us know where you're at. Meanwhile, dear listener, take care of yourselves. Luke and I will see you next weekend, all right? And Luke, you take care of yourself too, brother. Be good.
All right, you too, man. Peace.
All right, late.